very powerful Sun Pluto conjunction that's taking place. And we're going to look at it from the standpoint of, let's see, my Epic pen. Here we go. So here is the Epic pen. I'm just kidding. Here is the Sun and Pluto conjunct at 29:59. That is the last degree and the last minute of the last degree of Capricorn. This is happening early Saturday morning, January 20th, but you will be feeling it especially the 19th, the 20th, and then the 21st as both planets are moving into Aquarius. And honestly, you should probably be feeling this whole week and next week for sure. And Pluto's entrance into Aquarius is really one of the biggest stories of the year. So you're going to be feeling that entrance all year, because when Pluto changes signs, it changes whole sign houses. In ancient astrology, we looked at the birth chart through the lens of what are called whole sign houses: one sign, one house. And because of that, when a planet changes signs, it activates a whole new set of topics, which you can usually feel quite vividly the first year or two that the planet enters the house. You'll see the kind of the introduction of a new set of themes that become the focus for our lives in terms of the kind of Plutonian process of transformation. I'm going to say more about Pluto's transformation because it's one of those words we used often without thinking about it enough. And it's important to think and rethink all of the words and ideas that we use as we develop in our study of astrology, because that's what keeps things fresh. And the more that things are fresh in our mind and our vocabulary, the easier it is to have a living connection with the planets and to see them as relational beings that we can actually engage with. One of the things that keeps us from that is when our understandings of the planets get stagnant or kind of static in the same old words and descriptions. So I'm going to tell you a story today that hopefully will make that word transformation come alive a little bit more. But anyway, powerful combination of events. Sun conjoining Pluto as it ingresses into Aquarius. What does that mean, really, right? Okay, so what I wrote down today are five
Yo,
Sun
Moonraker.
Pluto
I
conjunction
thought
notes
I'd
for us
try
to
start
consider
a
today.
stream
We're going to
before
be taking
12
one more look at this
midnight for
later
you,
in the
man.
week.
What
So
up,
this
bro?
is not the final word. And again, I think we've got lots more to say
And
about
the
Pluto
sun
into
too, man. You see
Aquarius,
the
not
sun?
only right now, but as the
God,
year
I'm like
unfolds and as we see it
sunbathing.
go
I got
back into
my, I made an
Capricorn one
omelet.
last time from September to November,
Show
and
you the
then
omelet.
re-enter Aquarius. We're fortunate to be able to see it go back into that last degree of Capricorn, because it really helps us understand the power of an ingress. It really helps us understand the power of that anaretic critical last degree, or the last couple of degrees of a sign, typically where the malefics are the bound rulers. So it's a really nice period for us to study astrology, because you can see some things that you won't otherwise see from fast moving planets. A slow moving planet ingressing and then sitting at a critical degree, ingressing and sitting at a critical degree, really gives you a picture of those spaces in the zodiac and can help you deepen your understanding of them, which is a gift, because most of us often we work in the abstract with
Oh,
theoretical
so
notions
good.
until we actually experience them in astrology. So it's always nice when that happens. Anyway, what kinds of things happen when the sun conjoins Pluto? Well, one of the first things that happens is the word transformation. Now, transformation, I mean, there's a number of reasons that this word is kind of a throwaway word. One, transformation is constant. It's like Heraclitus said, you can't step in the same river
Oh my
twice.
god, that was so
So
dumb,
in a
dude.
sense, transformation is something that
Jeez
as soon
Louise.
as you hear the word, you can instantly take it for granted, and you can instantly find it redundant and sort of meaningless, because life is change. Change is constant. We all experience that, even those of us who live with daily habits and
What was I
patterns that are pretty
thinking?
unchanging. A 9 to 5 job you've been at for ages, kids you've been raising for a decade, a marriage you've been
What
in
was I
for a long
actually
time,
thinking?
blah blah blah. There are many elements in our lives that are sort of consistent and repetitive. However, people who are into astrology, probably more than others, are noticing change. Right, change is happening all the time: subtle change, psychic change, emotional change, environmental change, relational change, changes in your interests, changes at work, changes in your values, changes in your beliefs, changes in your states of consciousness. And so what good is the word transformation? It's really a word that is appropriate for Pluto, but it's appropriate for Uranus, it's appropriate for Neptune. All of these planets bring certain kinds of changes, kinds of transformation. Pluto does not have the market cornered on the word transformation, which is why we should do more to describe what kinds of transformation Pluto brings. So I'm going to tell you a story that is one of the best stories I know about what kinds of what a Plutonian transformation. So I was in Costa Rica. This was before my wife and I were married. We were living together and dating, and an item or whatever. But we weren't yet married. We didn't have kids, and we owned our yoga studio together in D.C. And so anyway, we're in Costa Rica. We took like a trip down there to a little community called Nosara, and it's a pretty cool spot. There's some really good yoga there. There's surfing. It was a really pretty neat little village area or city. I don't know what you call it. It's more like a village. Anyway, so we were there, and there was a 7.6 earthquake. The Richter scale, 7.6 on the Richter scale. I think that's how it's called. Anyway, that was one of the most terrifying events of my life. And it was a Plutonian event. There was a powerful Pluto aspect happening at that time. So now, set aside my own experience, I want to describe something that I saw happen to somebody else. What happened was every day we would walk down the street from the place we were staying. And I have to tell you, by the way, the place we were staying there was someone who had read my book about ayahuasca and recovery from drug addiction through the use of ayahuasca, which is a lot of what my book was about. And they had ended up going to South America and doing some ayahuasca and becoming sober from alcoholism and getting into 12-step and really turning their life around. And they contacted me through the internet, and we started up a conversation. And, it was kind of cool. It was cool to see, like, this was one of the first people that I ever realized, like, my book had, like, that kind of impact on. And they reached out and said, if you ever want to go to Costa Rica, I've got a little place down there. Me and some friends got together, like a little bungalow type of spot, and you could use it. So that's why we went, because we had a free place to stay from this guy. And it was, it was just amazing, because we were pretty poor. It wasn't like we could really afford going down and getting a place to stay for a long. So we were, anyway, this is how it had come into my sphere, by the way, during a Pluto transit. So at any rate, we're there in this little bungalow, and we're walking down the street to this little shop to get food every day. And we'd just like get our food for the day and bring it back to our place or whatever. And the shopkeeper looked stuck. I don't know how else to put it. It's just, there was just this like very stagnant, frustrated, stubborn, stuck kind of energy. Maybe angry, maybe sad. I couldn't tell, just like stuck. And I'll just never forget it. So anyway, here comes this earthquake. I literally saw the ground moving like jello. It was like rolling. I've never seen anything like it. It was one of the most terrifying natural things I've ever seen from just like Mother Nature. Anyway, we walk down the street and we go into afterward. We walked down the street to check and make sure like no one was injured or whatever. And the shop right down the street was devastated. The building was mostly okay. There were some big cracks in the building and stuff like that, but like the inside of the shop looked like a tornado went off. Everything had fallen and was shattered. And the shop was totally trashed, and the inventory a lot of it was smoked, just gone. And the shopkeeper was standing out there, and I'm telling you, it was like that shopkeeper was wide awake. Like whatever that kind of stuck, just that kind of like, I don't know, stuck with the heels in the mud kind of energy, it just was gone. And the most vivid, awake look was on their face. And I'm not kidding when I say this. I don't know because I don't know the inner workings of this person. So maybe I'm totally off, but they looked like whatever had happened had shook them out of a deep sleep. An unconscious, stuck place was gone. And I'm serious. They were talking, they were animated, they were excited. They were obviously like, oh my God, look at the shop. But I'll never forget just being like, that person's consciousness just like did a 180. That's Pluto. That's one instance of Pluto where this volcanic power comes surging up, and as it comes up and out, it sometimes breaks things or shakes things. It releases such powerful creative energy that it services a complete breakthrough or transformation of consciousness or circumstance. But as it does so, it knocks everything off the shelf. Now, there's some, I would say you could make some interesting connections, by the way, to this exact scenario and the planet Uranus, which, by the way, was starting to configure itself to Pluto at the time. So I don't want to like suggest that there's only one way, only one planet through which you could view what I'm describing. But Pluto was there insofar as when Pluto comes forth, ultimately, Pluto is a rich, powerful, libidinal, unconscious, instinctual, primal energy, and it just comes ripping out of us like it's
welcome.
To be.
How's everything?
It is not easily contained.
How you doing?
It is more like the wildness of a horse, right? And you always see these movies like The Man from Snowy River. When I was a kid, that was a big movie. Whatever, all these movies where it's like, okay, there's a wild horse, you know, what do we do with it? And the wise ranchers are like, they don't want to break its spirit, but we want to like learn, you know, I got to bond with it. you know what that's the guy, right? So he's like, okay, you know, like, I don't want to like take away its wildness, but I also want to bond with it to the extent that it'll let me ride it. That's sort of what Pluto's like. It's this wild, natural energy. And it's the energy that's behind creativity and creation, as well as death and destruction in the material universe. And it is so powerful, you know. And I think a lot of the feminine, creative destroyer kind of dyads in, say, Indian mythology. But when it comes out, it awakens and it frees up creative energy. But in order to do so, it also has to. It's a little destructive in the way that it expresses itself. So anyway, this is the way that I would describe, at least one way of describing, Plutonian transformation. It's very important to qualify what kind of transformation. There's, like I said, there's some resemblance in the story I just shared with Uranus too, I believe. There were alarms going off and we had to take a car to high ground because there was a tsunami warning. That day, though, for me, there was a release of creative energy that was extremely powerful, palpable, and generative. A lot of ideas came from that experience. I will tell you that. A lot of I didn't know the power of Mother Earth until I was in that experience, honestly. Like, I had a conceptual idea about it, you know. Pluto puts us in touch with that kind of power and instinct. You know, it's like if you've ever seen a dog take off after a deer and you're like walking the dog or something, you know, and all of a sudden your dog sees an animal and it goes into hunt mode and then it's just gone and you're like, whoa, that's like my pet, and now my pet has turned into a predator. I'm not saying that Pluto is going to turn us into predators, but it's kind of like that, where all of a sudden you just see this release of instinctual, natural power, and you're like, who's going to, you know,
you're great.
That not sure that can be tamed or that should be broken. At the same time, like how do I accommodate that? You know, I just have to recognize, like, you know, I think about Hilda. She's downstairs right now. I think about Hilda because she did that the other night. She took off after a deer, and I was just like, good luck. It's like, what am I going to do? She is like a wolf, and she just took off at like 40 miles an hour. Anyway, all right, well.
Oh, nice.
So the kind of transformation.
Being hungry stuff, that's cool.
The sun can join.
Get some food. I mean, that's not cool. Just get some food.
It's kind of like nuclear.
I just made some eggs.
The sun represents our.
I showed Moonraker and I dropped them all over the floor of my tomatoes.
Purpose, direction that we each have. Then as it hits Pluto, it's going through. It's as though we are like the shopkeepers who maybe find ourselves stuck. Maybe we find ourselves stagnant, bored, frustrated. With respect to life purpose, with respect to ambitions, and the sense of meaning that drives our life forward with great instinctual force. Pluto coming through can release tremendous energy and help us to realign with a sense of purpose because suddenly, that same instinctual power that sends a dog after a deer has us moving after the objects of our desires, our fantasies. The imagination and its ability to propel us forward toward things we want to do or become is released in the same way that the dog is. And by the way, people are going to be like, well, why didn't you have your dog on the leash? Late at night, the last thing I do before I go is I take the dog out to a dog run that's fenced in our yard. And there's like a 10-yard walk from my front door to this little dog run that's like fenced in. And so never have it's so late. There's no dogs out, there's no people out. So I just take her off leash for that 10-yard walk. And she always just follows me right there. Well, there was a deer standing across the street. So lesson learned. But anyway, just so those of you who are people who think about such things do not come after me. All right. Number 2 is the transformation of Capricorn. Listen to this. So, Capricorn, one of the things, I bet you that this will be news to some of you. So, the sea goat, the mythology of the sea goat, this is really fascinating. So, let's see here. Mm-hmm. In the sign of Cancer, the crab is emerging from the water, and in Capricorn, the goat, half goat or land animal, half fish or sea animal, is in the water. So, to escape explains originally meant to throw off the cowl formed from ex and Latin kappa, and he supplies these relatives of Latin kappa: cap, cape, caparison, cape line, uh, cappuccino. Anyway, it goes on. Um, so, escape and kepi, a peaked cap worn by soldiers. Anyway, it goes on to describe how the etymology of the word Capricorn throughout history has this association with moving from something bound to something liberated, as in escaping some kind of condition. And goats were known as famous escape artists in on farms. So there's a lot of interesting etymological evidence that there was an association with Capricorn and the desire to escape one condition and move up or out from some kind of base or entangled condition, as in from water to land, or from the base of a mountain to the top of a mountain, or from an enclosure out of an enclosure. Now, there's further evidence that this was what ancient astrologers were thinking about, at least in part, with the constellational piece, because the here it is. Well, there's so many interesting things. I'll tell you which website you can look at this on anyway. But the other part of Capricorn is that it was called the gateway of the gods, whereas Cancer was called the gateway of mankind. And whereas in the gateway of Cancer, the sun in its ecliptic and the arc in the sky is moving from the top downward, a descent from the top down. That was associated with the moon and the descent of spirit into a body, as in coming into a body through the mother and being born into the material world, from spirit into matter. But from Capricorn, there's a desire to escape the material world, which is why it was called the gateway of the gods. And it was associated with the desire of the spirit to escape from the body. And there was this association with goats who climbed up and were like escape artists. I think this is really fascinating because the other thing that is associated with Capricorn is that the earlier part of Capricorn was associated the with Venus and entanglements in the world. Think, for example, in this sense of Capricorn, the earlier part of Capricorn is being associated with like the devil card in the tarot. Tarot. I keep saying tarot. I think it's tarot, and I just like can't get it through my brain. Anyway, unless I'm wrong about that, let me know. Uh, so the earlier part of Capricorn was associated with worldly desire and the not so much the desire to escape as much as the desire to satiate. And goats were associated, broadly speaking, with oh, what's the word that I'm thinking of? Well, with Pan, and basically like horniness, horny as a goat. So there's this like very instinctual impulsive, kind of entangled, worldly, materialistic side of Capricorn that seeks its escape through worldly achievement or worldly obtainment of desires. Goats, are somewhat hierarchical in the way that they live. And so there's this kind of natural, instinctual, hierarchical desire to achieve, accomplish, but in service of the senses. So there's a strong kind of orientation around Venusian desires in the early part of Capricorn that ancient astrologers had that was associated with the fish, um, the fish part of Capricorn. And then called the gateway of the gods, there's also this implication that Capricorn is overcoming some of those sort of worldly entanglements like the devil card and moving into a space of transcendence, as in the gateway of the gods, where the spirit departs from the body, moving toward the realm of the gods or the constellations or enlightenment or whatever you want to call it. I think all of that is really, really fascinating because, yes, here we go. Moving down, I'm just trying to pick up one quote that I had in here, but where is it? Oh gosh, you know what? I'm thinking I'm just gonna end up sitting here forever. Yes. Yeah. Hence, this is from Manilius. Hence comes a restless quality in their lives and a mind which is often changed and floats away this way and that. The first half of the sign is the slave of Venus, and that with guilt involved, but a more virtuous old age is promised. So, again, the idea is that there's something Capricorn has to overcome, some kind of corrosive attachments to the world and its hierarchies, and especially like sensual gratification. It's a powerful image. So what does it mean that we have this Sun Pluto conjunction happening at the last degree, at the last minute of the last degree of Capricorn? It points to the space of transcendence. It points toward the final accumulated step from Capricorn into Aquarius, which is a very interesting, similarly ruled sign.
Anyone's dry,
They're
I'm
both ruled by
sorry.
Saturn, but we move into totally different space in Aquarius compared to Capricorn. And the idea here is that this conjunction of the Sun and Pluto represent this kind of powerful creative release of energy that can refine and direct our sense of
full
life,
moon's
purpose,
Friday
and direction. But it does so
in
with
Leo.
the sense of having disentangled ourselves from something, or having carried
the end of a
across for a very
cycle.
long period of time, and having been weighed down
Pluto
by that
being
cross. Have we
in
fallen
Capricorn.
beneath the weight of it? Have we
So like the
have we
changing in the
succumbed
financial
to
sector and
the sort of
everything.
temptations and the entrapment of the kind of most base
failure of
parts of our
banks,
animal nature?
the
Or have we
breakdown of
taken them, refined them? Have there been some kind of alchemy that's
money and
taken place
jobs and
such that we're ready to
expectations?
transition and leave an entire era behind us?
So like I'm guessing the
that's a
Aquarius is going to
profound
be like
moment,
the
really,
death of
and
the
that's
tech sector.
indicated by the
That's my
29th
prediction.
degree and 59th
The
day
transition
the
of the
sign.
like computer tech powers
So I
of
think it's
being the
interesting to
world
look at that
to
from the
something
standpoint of
more.
the topics of the house that
I don't
Pluto's
know.
been transiting
That's
through
the
in your
lesson
birth chart.
but I think it's going to be really tech involved
those
and like
topics are
cars and
probably
stuff and space
relevant
exploration
to
and shit.
understanding what kind of accumulated
breakdown
process
of
you've
it,
been through, what
of the
kind of
traditional
alchemical
methods
transformation has taken place, what cross you've been carrying,
through
what the
rebellion.
burdens have been, what the temptation and entanglements have looked like, and also what's ready to be. What is ready? Where are you ready to transcend, to move above, or to move beyond, to have climbed up to the top of
be
some
good
kind
energy.
of mountain? Personally,
Yeah, it's just gonna be intense. It's gonna be a big shift.
not
It
so
could be
much
quite
materially,
dramatic.
but
It could be
spiritually
quite
speaking.
dramatic shift in our lives on Friday.
So
with the
number
Leo
3,
moon
another thing
and
to
the
pay
Pluto
attention
and
to
Capricorn,
is that we go from the earthy burdens
just
and
conjunctions
alchemical
in the sky.
transformations of Capricorn, moving from base to elevated, or a process of transmuting, alchemizing, and lifting something
Everything
up
will be
from
okay.
down low. That's the start of the sun at the darkest point of the year, starting to move up. How have we transcended over a long period of time? That's a great question that we kind of just covered. But then we move into Aquarius, and the question might be about, how do I create some space and distance? This is a fixed or
What's
solid
going on
air
with hair?
sign that correlates to Saturn in the sense that Saturn has that rulership over things that are vast and spacious. Saturn is the last, dimmest, most distant planet. And Dante, for example, and many other astrological philosophers over time have associated Saturn with contemplatives, meaning people who need space, people who need distance, people who like perspective, people who like to have a kind of a degree of control and space in which to move about and contemplate, to move around something, to think around something, to spend time uh, moving through ideas with care. So that kind of contemplative journey. It's interesting because Capricorn's not so contemplative like that. The idea of Saturn in Capricorn has more to do with the slow march from worldliness to transcendence, or from carrying something through duty and obligation that's heavy and earthbound and that's alchemically powerful and transformative. It works on our nature. It works on helping us look at and integrate the shadows of our earthly desires, and also the it's like there's an impulse to kind of move upward in Capricorn that we are also learning to transform from one that is purely material into something that's spiritual. So those dualities in Capricorn have so much to do with a great work, a magnum opus like that. When we get to Aquarius, it's like rare air. You're in a totally different stratosphere, and one of the impulses that we might be looking at coming up this month, next month, is I need space. One of the things that I think about all the time with this particular
Yes, Journey.
sign, and I've told you
Yes.
guys this before, is
Yes.
the story of the Lord of the
That's the
Rings.
spirit.
And one of the things that happens is a very Capricornian story. Of course, Tolkien was born Capricorn sun in the fifth house of creativity, and so we have some interesting ways in which the entire Middle Earth is very Capricornian. Um, Frodo has to carry the ring all the way to Mordor and cast it into the fire, and it is an incredible adventure. And he is
My stream's
weighed
dropping.
down. It's a journey of transcendence, but what
No,
does
my
he have to
stream.
carry from start to finish? He has to
Is my
carry the
stream
weight
going
of
down?
worldly power, of worldly desire. In a sense, Sauron is the darkness of Capricorn. It's the Dark Lord, the one who wants to hold and possess everything of power and substance in the material world. Frodo has to carry the emblem of that power, not be corrupted by it, and cast it into the fire, which is the ultimate 2959 of Capricorn. What happens to him afterward? He can't go back to normal village life in the Shire. He tries, but at the end of the day, he has to take the boat with the elves and go off to the kingdom of the elves, which is a space for healing. It is a
Boy, mate,
space
you've got a
for
license for that brew
distance
there.
from the world, because he'll always bear the sting of what he had to carry in the world. And so he needs a kind of Aquarian, elven country to sail off to for the purpose of healing. Bilbo goes as well because Bilbo also carried the ring. So the it's funny because the elves go back and forth between whether or not they ought to engage with the world and help human beings or sail off to their realm where there's no problems. There's space. It's a kind of angelic Aquarian realm. Remember, Ganymede, the main the figure in the constellation of Aquarius, is associated with the kind of angelic potential of humanity that Zeus takes and abducts and pulls up. And there's all sorts of complications in that story that are interesting. We've done a lot talking about that story before, but it's a kind of angelic space. It's closer to the realm of the gods, and that is precisely where Frodo needs to go, Bilbo needs to go after having carried the ring, because there's a way in which you can't ever really be in the world fully again, or sort of unconsciously. That consciousness is painful. That consciousness is like the residue of a poison that you had to extract from your system. So as Pluto and the Sun enter Aquarius, we may find that in some area of our life, we need to create space. We need to create a spacious elven kingdom that we're now ready to sail into. Now, there's all sorts of problems with that world. And there's all sorts of lessons to be learned and a whole new adventure to be had in that world. But at the very least, in the beginning, it offers itself to us as a space in which to contemplate. Dante allocated the seventh sphere of heaven to Saturn. Saturn as the realm of contemplatives who studied and prayed in quiet, who walked about in the gardens of the monastery in contemplation of the divine and like that. There's an elven, and I'm not saying you have to move into a monastery, but there's a space that needs to open up for healing and a shift or a reorientation of paradigm that may require that you learn to live in the world, but with some kind of critical distance from it. And that's the healing space that might be opening up right now. Number 4, did you know that Aquarius was associated with the transference of water from below the earth up into the sky, such as fountains or artesian wells? This is fascinating because it really speaks to one of the earliest ways of understanding technology, which has to do with the somehow being able to harness something that is instinctual, that is natural, but inaccessible to us by normal means or measures. We have to build aquifers and pipes, and we have to, it's a kind of magic that we have to perform to move water from beneath the earth up into the sky, up into faucets. Now, that alone is just a fascinating part of thinking about Aquarius and Aquarius's relationship with technology, because essentially it's sort of the same. We're just thinking about moving natural energies and forces in ways that can bring us into contact with those forces and be able to use them or manipulate them. There's all sorts of problems that go along with that, as we know, since we're having major conversations all around the planet right now about the intersection between
You're the best journey. What?
And
Man, that is. Can I add that as a quote? I'm gonna add that as a quote.
Nonetheless, if we take it metaphorically,
I might pin
water
it.
from below transported into the sky means that we're learning how to tap into different kinds of resources, making different kinds of things available to us, different powers and energies.
I'm gonna unpin it in a few minutes, but we got a new command too.
And new kinds of technologies, intellectually, mentally, spiritually, that can tap us into different energy sources and move them around for the sake of healing, for the sake of growth, for the sake of space, for the sake of, improved relationships or more creative alignment in your work. So you just think about Pluto, especially being a planet that taps into those natural energies, like the Shakti released from the Earth during an earthquake. That's plutonian.
Thank you.
And now we have it in Aquarius, which suggests that
you've been following me for 4 years. You've been friends for 4 years now. Oh my!
Ability to divine where water was
ChatGPT, what a
from
fucking
beneath the earth into the sky, as in a fountain or an artesian well. That we can do similar things with energies and deep kind of natural forces that we're learning to move or harness in ways that are very powerful. And that's a metaphor that can be societal in terms of big technologies that are coming forth and so on, but it's also very personal. It's about harnessing new energies that can do things for us that create some healing distance.
I made the command writing like Damian Marley.
We got into Aquarius. Part of the reason that we need Aquarius is because we need some of the healing space from having carried such heavy things in Capricorn, from having moved from a base state to a higher state, so to speak, in order to move into a new age, a new paradigm, a new time in life. We're going to need new ways of relating to energy and new ways of moving it around in our life so that we have more space, more flow.
Big up, Damien. Come on.
Think about
ridiculous.
There being some ability with the Sun and Pluto moving into Aquarius that says there's a different way of utilizing energy. There's a different way of moving it. There's a different way of relating to it that can contribute to having more spaciousness, more healing,
write a song, write a hit.
All right.
Rap song.
Number 5.
Write a hit.
Aquarius was also related to the power of waters to inundate, as in the flooding of the Nile.
Top
was
40.
a major part of the cycles of fertility. So it's a very fertile sign that has a history of being associated with the power of water to to
40 hip
fertilize
hop
and grow things, and to harness
song
that water is powerful, like a
about
dam, and the energy that comes from a dam, or etc. But on the other hand, Aquarius was also associated with the devastation of waters that would significantly alter the course of a human civilization, as in the myths of the Great Flood and the Ark, which is not unique to the Judeo-Christian mythology. At times, the earth floods, and in order to survive, we have to design vessels or structures that can carry and perpetuate life. It's as though nature comes along from time to time and forces us to rebuild and rethink. We get flooded, and then we need to build a structure, an ark. And there's also this sort of instruction that the ark needs to carry the life, the animals, in addition to the humans, that life itself, natural life, human life. And not a mistake, of course, that the zodiac is, uh, you know, lots of different images exist in the zodiac, human and animal. And so there's something here about the intersection between human meaning, human life, human technology, and animal life. And the intersection between technology and natural power. It's a really deep conversation, and one that we'll have to, I mean, in a sense, there is a way in which we could get flooded. Natural energies can release themselves, and we have to adapt and cope and design and redesign and shift
Gyges on the
as
scene,
a
breaking
way of
records.
building
Supreme
structures
Goldeneye
that better
Wizard technician.
facilitate
He
and
redeemed
host
sharp
our life
moves on
and life
OO
around
Agent
us.
Precision. So keen,
And
world
we have to
record holder in the video game Machines. (10:57) moderator verified stream elements. Gyges on the scene, breaking records. Supreme Goldeneye Wizard as technician. He redeemed sharp moves on OO Agent Precision. So keen, world record holder in the video game Machines.
That was sick. That was a sick line, but I chat GPT right there.
Is the need to design, architect better structures for life. Can't ignore the life because there are natural energies being released. So anyway, kind of a sprawling meditation today. A lot of different things, but I hope that it helps you to meditate upon some of the archetypal energies in the air right now, and to facilitate and working with them as these powerful transits come in through the weekend. We're going to look more at these as the week goes on. That's it for today. Don't forget, check out the masterclass series, which begins on Friday. You can find that on the website, nightlightastrology.com. Need-based tuition is available for all of our courses that just began this month. Check that out. Feel free to join us. We'd love to see you there. All right, take it easy. Bye.
If Sandy's a wizard, I guess. I didn't understand that one. Wow. That's so cool. I wrote, just said, say a random fact about an ancient civilization at any point in time and anywhere in the world. That's cool, man.
(11:01) Moderator verified stream elements. The ancient city of Rome had an advanced system of aqueducts that transported clean water from distant sources, enabling the population to access clean water even during ancient times.
The destructive quality of Pluto. For example, in the tarot, you have the sequence of the Tower card and the Star card. There's sort of this devastation followed by the envisioning of new things and the kind of grace or recovery or healing
Thank you for
that comes
being here.
Loss or destructiveness. In the same way, we have the cycles of creation, maintenance, destruction, for example, in Indian philosophy. So, and obviously this runs throughout the Tao Te Ching and Taoist philosophy as well, that you have periods where things build and sustain and then slowly start to fall apart, and then the process begins again. And we see that even in our 4 seasons, we see the same kind of cycle.
I don't know what the fucking thing is, but that's
so it's interesting because Pluto really straddles that line between the tremendously destructive decomposition and often sort of a violent sort of purgatorial discharge, just like a volcano blowing up. But with that is a transformative power, that the volcano is not just destructive, although it can be, but it's also deeply transformative. And if you imagine that what's being released from the volcano is also rich, fertile, powerful energy. So on that note, today I want to look at the 5 most exciting features of Pluto into Aquarius, which is coming up here, and I'll show you on the chart in a second, considering how powerfully regenerative and the kind of that sort of deep creative power that comes from Pluto as well. So what are the most exciting features of Pluto into Aquarius will be the subject
Andrew.
Anyway, before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Share your comments and reflections if you have them. Also, what did you notice when Pluto entered Aquarius last year? Did you notice anything right away? Be curious to hear your thoughts there. You can find transcripts of any of my daily talks on my
Don't
website,
make Andrew's head any bigger.
And when you're over there, don't forget that yesterday we just started our new moon circle, which meets before new and full moons. That's called the Roots and Spheres program. We work with plant allies, various spiritual rituals and practices designed uniquely for each moon cycle, as we look at the astrology together in community and then work more intentionally with the energies of each month. It's not too late to sign up for that. Our masterclass series starts next week. We're starting in with the fixed stars, and then we also have our year 3 program. All of those are starting this month. You can check them out under the courses tab on the Nightlight website, and if you need help, the need-based tuition option is there for you to take advantage of. And we also have that need-based tuition option again this year. So glad to offer, thanks in large part to so many of you who contributed to our Kickstarter campaign. So thanks again for that. All right, now let's
it all
take
makes
a look
sense,
at the
down to
clock.
the punctuation, down to everything.
Here we go.
It just makes perfect sense. And because he has such a fat head,
Pluto on the verge of entering Aquarius. Here we go. So the sun crosses Pluto, by the way. We'll be talking about that in a separate video. But as this happens, the sun and Pluto both enter Aquarius on the same day. This is January 20th into the 21st that we see the transition happen. From this point forward, Pluto will be in Aquarius all the way until about September 1st. And then around, I think it's the 17th, 19th, something like that of November, it's in the last degree of Capricorn again. And then right around, let me just see, I have it somewhere here so Pluto ingresses January 20th, and then it's in Aquarius all the way until September 1st, at which point it retrogrades into Capricorn. And then from September 1st to November 19th, it's in Capricorn, and on the 19th it re-enters Aquarius. So that's kind of the schedule for Pluto in Aquarius.
So it's going into Aquarius for 8 months, and then it's going back into Capricorn.
It's not just right now or this month. Although,
To be honest, be
we
kind
may
of fine.
experience some of
Yeah,
this
for
right
sure,
away.
truly.
But, if we just
Oh,
take
of
everything out
course.
in the
I mean,
chart
yeah.
here, but Pluto, let me just do that real
I mean,
quick.
yeah, of course.
And we just take a
Heck
look
yeah.
at what Pluto's going to do. I
Heck yeah,
mean,
you are.
let's go forward and show you how long we're all the way into. This is
If I'm allowed to say that.
2042, 43, right? And if I just go by some months, enters Pisces in 2043,
For
retrogrades back
sure.
into Aquarius, and
Go follow
it's
Jersey.
in January of 2044 that it finally moves into Pisces to stay, I
She's
believe.
also a
Let me
better
just
first
double
person
check
shooter
that.
than me.
Yeah, so that's like 20 years. That's a good.
She'd
That's
be
a good
hustling
2
people on
decades
the
worth of
Fortnite and
Pluto
the
into
Call of
Aquarius.
Duty
Because of its eccentric orbit,
and the zombies.
Pluto does not stay in all of the signs for the same amount of time. So it's going to spend a lot longer in the sign of Aquarius than it did in Capricorn, which was more like 15 years, if I remember correctly. Something like that. So I think that there are some
You are
really
fine. You are the
significant
best.
things to look forward to about Pluto into Aquarius.
You
And
are.
now that we've visited some of the shadows in the series that we did recently, which if you
I'm not
haven't
laughing.
checked out,
I'm
you might
just,
want to go back and take a look at
you
that.
know,
But what are the most exciting features of Pluto into Aquarius? So I think that I have 5 today, and we'll be adding to this and continuing to cover Pluto in Aquarius this month, especially taking a look at that Sun-Pluto conjunction on the day of the ingress. That's a potent signature that I think we'll spend some real time with next week. But number 1 on the list of most exciting features about Pluto's entrance into Aquarius and its stay in Aquarius for almost 2 decades is that Pluto in the sign of Aquarius is, if we're thinking about Pluto as the releasing of titanic creative power, yes, some of it will be destructive, but also, there's let me tell a story that I think fits nicely, because it's a story probably all of you have experienced. It's an experience that probably all of you have had. Have you ever gone through a really, really difficult breakup? Maybe it was with a job, or maybe it was with a friend, or maybe it was with a lover. Maybe it was with a family member, and choosing that you couldn't have them in your life any longer or something. The pain and the difficulty is tremendous. But you know what it feels like? And not everyone maybe has this exact, like, maybe this template of experience is not the exact one that you've had, but maybe you know someone who has. As soon as you get past the difficulty of initially, I don't know, breaking the news, telling someone you're leaving, or telling a boss you're leaving the job, or a partner that you don't want to be together any longer, or something like that, there is this tremendous feeling. Some people would maybe describe it as freedom, but it's also like this huge amount of like primal, libidinal, creative energy. Um, and there's always some instructions that come with it. Like, when you break up with someone, be careful that you don't use that energy and go and dive into another relationship too quickly. It'll often be a rebound. There's a creative impulse. And I call it libidinal because the creative and the sexual impulse are so tied together. We create life through that impulse, obviously, sometimes. But the Plutonian energy that's released is so creatively powerful. And it usually comes right off from having let go of something that was kind of toxic, and maybe was holding that creative energy hostage somehow, and now it's been released. And so that's the tremendous power of Pluto. Now, placing that into the sign of Aquarius is interesting, because one of the things that Aquarius represents is something in the world of philosophy that might be called a universal. And it goes back to, the roots of archetypal thinking in the ancient world, which we attribute to Plato, but it's really older than Plato, and we see versions of it in many different philosophical, religious, mystical traditions in the ancient world. But it's the idea that there are universal images or archetypes that um, we dedicate ourselves to them. For example, as a collective, now speaking as a collective, because that's something Aquarius also tends to signify, is humanity at large, as opposed to the individual. Although there's this tremendous tension in Aquarius, in that sign, between the individual and the group, between individuality and collectivity. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. But the thing that propels humans along a course is the ideas that we embrace, the ideas / images that we embrace as archetypal foundations for a society. I'm going to get through this today without fucking screaming. All right. Sorry. All right. So the thing that moves our story along is, for example, an idea about how a society should be operated or held together. Monarchy, democracy. You get what I'm saying? And there's so many other examples: a matriarchy, a patriarchy, whatever. The point is that human beings have always adopted images / ideas, ade, archai, archetypal. Archetypes are interesting because they're both ideas philosophically, but they're also images. They're not just abstract principles or intellectual. They're not just conceptual. They're concepts married to actual embodied imagery. Justice is always depicted in pictures throughout history, holding the scale blindfolded, or beauty is Aphrodite. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? So when you think of an archetype and you think of ideas in Aquarius universals, don't just think of principles or philosophies. Think of ideas and how we tend to see them embodied in images that relate to the sensual world that we inhabit. This is what, in a sense, we clothe, the gods are clothed in ideas, and ideas are clothed by the forms of the gods, and you can't separate the two. But anyway, humanity needs universals. We evolve, we grow. Our story collectively is told according to the ideas that we have. And what's so powerful about Pluto in Aquarius is that we can get in touch with like really profoundly exciting new ideas. Some of them may come in the wake of destructive elements in the human soul and in humanity at large. But we can't underestimate what powerful new archetypal images and ideas will guide us forward. And we need them. I mean, I listened to a talk recently by Nightlight. There's a Nightlight student. His name was Peter Young, and he's like a PhD in philosophy or something. And he did a story. I think you could find it on YouTube. Anyway, he was talking about how modern sort of secular self-help psychology has not necessarily done us all the best favors in the world. And it was a really smart and interesting talk. At least I thought it was. And in the talk, he said, when we focus on the importance of individual values, and just like the prescription for growth individually is to just locate, identify which values are really important to your happiness and then focus on them. The problem with that is that when values are considered to be highly they're considered
From
to be
the
subjective.
depths of the sea, back to the block, Snoop Doggy Dogg. Funky as the DLC went solo on that ass, but it's still the same. Long Beach is the spot where I serve my cane. Follow me, follow me, follow me, follow me, but don't lose your grip. 9 trizes the easier for me to fuck up shit, so I ain't holding nothing back.
I know it won't give it to us. I put it said it I wanted it to say, I wanted it to be friggin' like ridiculous. I really wanted it to be really ridiculous. We'll do one more bar, and then we're gonna try to figure it out.
And motherfucker, I got 5 on a 20 sack, it's like that, and as a matter of fact, rat tat tat tat, cause I never hesitate to put a nigga on his back, yeah. So peep out the manuscript, you see that it's a must, we drop gangster shit, what's my motherfucking name?
Those are not my words. Those are not my lyrics. That's a never ignorant, getting goals accomplished. Oh no, and then they bring up the white supremacist party as the quote. I know we need Jamaican, man. How are we gonna do? Okay, so you guys can see the custom command. It's tiny. You guys probably, you guys and gals, you probably can't see this. So it's fact. So let's say do it in stream elements. I'll paste it in chat. You put it between like these brackets. So like I'll just paste this example in chat. Everything you put in between brackets, that's the command. Big bomb. I know. We do. We do. Quote 233. Alright. This is the command. Whoops, not the command. That's the command. Okay, so nothing happens if you write it. So you need $ bracket AI. And then you need to close with a $1. Wow. Wow. Accent. How should we say it? So who do we know that talks like that? That's why I wrote Damian Marley. And I wrote that first in a Damian Marley voice. And what do you say at the end? Big up Damien? Or she at the end? Big up Damien. He's a shiesty. Oh, I can't put that lyrics in there. He's a shiesty motherfucker. Shiesty comes from 187 on an undercover cop. Come on. It's in the lyrics. Look at that. That's wild. Anyways. What the fuck is this? What? What happened? Did it block my command? I think it's too many. Oh. There's a bad word in it. I guess I better proofread all these like gangster rap lyrics before I paste them, eh? What? That one's also blocked? Why? ChatGPT is or the text to speech is silencing Tupac, man.
Making them because we're curious beings that want to explore. And the thing we have to remember is that I at least
couldn't
I
get it to work, I'm
this.
sorry.
I believe that the divine is
Let's
out
try it
there
again.
saying, explore, create.
Oh, say what?
Believe
In a
it or not,
Jamaican
there's nothing at
accent?
stake. Even though there's tons of suffering and pain, and in our world there is a lot at stake, but ultimately, in the
As how Damian
scope
Marley
of
would say it?
eternity,
How about that?
you're just fine. You know, create, explore. There's going to be a play of light and dark when you do so. You'll learn a lot. And
Dictate? Alright.
don't worry, no one's holding anything
Dictate.
against you on the level of eternity. Number 3, humanity needs a soul history. I want to read you guys something. This is from one of my favorite books that I've been utilizing as I'm writing some lectures for my new third-year program in counseling for astrologers. It's called Healing Fiction by James Hillman. You guys know he's kind of like an intellectual sensei in my life. I really like him. He's talking here about the importance of case histories in therapy.
Here we go. We're going to try this one.
And he says this: it is in this sense that case histories are fundamental to depth psychology.
Yo, what? Legend. True faith, man. Yo, thanks, man. Thanks, homie. What? Thanks, man. I appreciate that a lot, dude. Moonraker pinned it. Yo, nice. What's up, man? Yeah. Oh my god, we're hiding. You can see everything now. Yeah, we got the parallel bars. We got the fucking pull-up center. Thanks, man. Yo, that means a lot, dude. Fucking someone jack like you, shredding up, eating less, more cardio. I hear you, man. Nice. Yeah, I'm doing. Yeah, I'm trying to be like I was a bit. I would say I was a bit overweight in the summer, just a little too much. I'm cutting down too, trying to do more pull-ups and parallel bars and stuff. Let's try this command. Parsing error. Whoops. Thanks, bro. Thanks for being here, man. Yeah. You want to see my routine, actually? I haven't written my fucking shit yet, but yeah, I do like. Let me see. Bicep curls. Do like bench press, bicep curls, flies, chin ups, dips, standing fly, shoulder shrugs, holding dumbbells, Arnold presses, and dumbbell bench press. You can see I didn't do any here. Leg raises, V-sits, L-sits, hanging leg raises, V-sits, medicine ball, and then legs, exercise bike, elliptical, walking, calf raises, and stretching my back. So like this. The dumbbell. Alright, let's get this working. Nice, dude. Yeah, I haven't started yet. I've been trying to get this AI working. Let's bring this up. Wait, let's see if we can fix this first. Why is there a parsing error? I don't know what that means. This is no period. No, there's a period. Pardon me. Thanks, dude. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same command, whatever. It's not working.
Also to live through in new ways. That's a kind of it's a kind of way of looking at the
Thanks, man.
reality itself as ensouled.
Might as well get started, I guess, right?
And living and choosing and
Do it. We got the sun out.
As opposed to it being like a giant clock or something.
How much I weigh? I weigh
anyway,
about.
Number 4 is that humanity needs to meet itself.
I weigh about. Oh, I haven't weighed myself in a while. Maybe like 195.
More about this point, other than with new ideas, with new.
I weigh about 195 pounds now.
Universals and looking at our shadows in light of all of these things. Looking at the need for universals comes up because of the shadow, creating new worlds.
You're really gonna disapprove of my bench presses, though.
History with the universe, we go with problems.
I don't put my feet on the ground for the bench press. Yeah, I know.
A new way of relating.
It's pretty cringe, but
stories.
I don't know.
And
it's been working so far, and it's better than just
those things. They hold up a kind of mirror.
I don't know, stressing my back.
In new ways. And number 5, we need to understand what makes us unique as a species as well as what sets us apart as individuals. This is one of the tensions apparent through the Leo-Aquarius axis as a whole, or the Sun-Saturn dynamic as a whole. When the collective awareness has a way of joining us to something bigger than ourselves, which is truly profound, but also collective awareness can have a way of, its shadow is to ignore or almost like cancel out the importance of the utterly unique, the idiosyncratic, the specific, the particular. Universals like the one are naturally opposed to the individual or the many. And so we have to look at the dichotomy between individuality and collectivity. And those two things together they both can happen. Pluto in Aquarius is going to help us understand ourselves as a species in new ways, while also helping us understand the important tension we have to hold between collectivity and individuality. Truly, none of us are, our gender, our race, our religion, our family background,
probably do more weight
our
with
mistakes, our
my feet, but whatever.
Truly, we are so unique that all of those things are just the temporary means by which we continue to explore our infinite souls, But on the other hand, those things you can't just throw them out either. I get quite annoyed when people try to say you're a soul. Doesn't matter, like, your gender, race, sex, creed, background, mistakes, blessings, achievements. None of those things matter. Well, yeah, they do. You know what I mean? They matter a lot. So can we hold the tension between that too? Not looking at each other in terms of categoricals, while also figuring out how to acknowledge that the categories of our life play a part in the shaping of our moving sense of who we are. Anyway, I find that as a powerful opportunity that this tension can be looked at in depth, because it's one that we probably need to look at in depth as our species is becoming more vividly interconnected. It's tempting for the individual to get blotted out, or you could say the opposite, as our world gets increasingly more individualistic, it's easy to feel like you're not a part of anything bigger than yourself. So that tension, the holding and amplifying of that tension, is one of the great creative potentials of Pluto in Aquarius. Anyway, that's good for today. I hope this was helpful. As always, gives you some good things to think about as Pluto enters Aquarius. and gives you some fun things to think about heading into the weekend. We will be back next week. Don't forget, we've got some new programs started. If you need any tuition assistance help, you can be sure to take advantage of that over on the website for the masterclass series, which starts next week, Roots and Spheres, which just began, or the year 3 program in counseling astrology. That's it. Have a great weekend. Bye.
You see me friggin' use momentum on these bicep curls too. I don't do too much of it, but I'll admit sometimes I do.
Welcome back to Uncharted X. This is Ben, and I hope that you're all doing well. In past videos on this channel, we've talked about some pretty darn big blocks of megalithic stone, those that are found on the famous ancient sites around the world, particularly in Egypt. Many people know about the utterly massive unfinished obelisk at Aswan, still connected to the bedrock, that's estimated to weigh in at around 1,200 tons. Other finished and standing obelisks, like this one at Karnak, are in the 400-ton range. Then there are the remnants and broken chunks of what once were gigantic single-piece statues of granite or quartzite, like the Colossi of Memnon, each over 700 tons, and other statues that were nearly twice the size. The incredible remnants of a granite statue at the Ramesseum, located close to the Colossi, which was likely at or exceeding 1,000 tons. Even the granite pedestal block for this statue that it was lifted up and placed on top of is around 600 tons. Another example, the mighty arm of a single-piece composite quartzite statue that was originally and remarkably a standing figure rather than one seated. It can be found in the boneyard at Karnak Temple, and similar to the statue at the Ramesseum, is estimated to be in the 1,000-ton range, likely only one of several statues that were once extant on this site. Even far to the north, at Tanis in the delta of Egypt, some 1,000 kilometers distant from the granite quarry, this giant foot, roughly the same size as the foot of the Statue of Liberty, shows that there was once another of these huge single-piece statues located here. These examples of standalone pieces, either obelisks or statues, are found on ancient Egyptian sites that are generally attributed to the later periods of the dynastic civilization, the Middle and New Kingdoms. While I think there is evidence and an argument to be made that they, the artifacts and even the origins of the sites themselves, might well be far older than this, and it's an argument that I do make in my videos that are dedicated to them, links are below. What about the actual Old Kingdom sites? Places like the Giza Plateau, with its mighty stone pyramids, where most, if not all, of the architecture and artifacts are attributed to the oldest periods of known history, and not to later periods of the Egyptian civilization. Are there massive, almost inconceivably heavy single-piece stones found on these locations? Well, in today's video, that's the topic we're going to get into, because in the last couple of years, my good friend Yusuf Awen and I have found what, at least to our knowledge, is the largest single-piece stone on the Giza Plateau, and I wanted to share it with everyone. While the examples I've given so far, the unfinished obelisk, the Colossi of Memnon, etc., are relatively well known and documented, the large blocks on the Giza Plateau are far less well known, yet also represent a tremendous logistical challenge. Before we get into the details, a quick update on the channel and on upcoming events. If you want the chance to check out the incredible sights of ancient Egypt for yourself, I have some good news. Due to demand and the
Yeah, I
fact that
found
we were forced
the
to
pull-up
cancel our
bar and the
planned
calisthenics
extension
and
to
stuff
Lebanon,
is good
we've
for
added a second Egypt tour for 2024.
just working like the
March
inner
3rd
muscles
to the
and
18th,
stay leaner, because
2024.
you're not
My good friends Yusuf Awan
then you're
of the
just
commencement
doing
and
less
Colin
time
Talon,
lifting
the
heavy
brothers of the
weights,
Serpent podcast,
which does
will be
reduce
joining me on
mass
a
a bit.
tour of
So I
Upper
mean,
and Lower Egypt, with 7 special
but
permission
you do
accesses,
lose weight.
including a surprise
It doesn't
that
mean you're
I'm
not
very
stronger.
excited about, as well as a 4-night Nile cruise. It promises
But
to
I
be
do
a
like
great
to
time.
maintain the weights.
If you're interested, all the details are on my website, unchartedx.com, or via the link below in the description. I'll
But I know
also
what
be
you're saying.
speaking during the Total Solar Eclipse at the Eclipse at the Canyon event next year, April 6th to 9th, 2024, in Utopia, Texas. This is going to be a lot
How you
of fun.
feeling? You
It's
feeling
an
still sore
astronomical
from
event, an ancient mystery conference, and an
your
outdoor camping music
weightlifting
festival,
session?
all rolled up into one. There'll be a bunch of great speakers, some stand-up
yeah, man.
comedy, along with live bands, including $50 Dynasty,
Oh, you're
over
back?
3 nights of
You're
camping.
back to
If
normal?
that sounds good to you, all of the details are on the Eventbrite page, which is linked below. I'm also happy to say that the 5th season of Gaia's Ancient Civilization show is available for streaming, and that I was a part of it. If you're interested in checking out the full season, signing up over at Gaia is a great way to help out the Uncharted X channel, and to get access to tons of excellent content on the Gaia network. My affiliate link for a Gaia membership is below in the description and in the comments, as is the link for a special offer for a free 7-day trial if you just want to check it out first before committing. Lastly, in channel news, I've been publishing regular stream highlight videos to my second channel, Uncharted X Live. We do a lot of raw footage review and exploration of various ancient sites, and this is more casual, unscripted, and less produced content, but I can take the time to really get into some details. Check out the channel via the link below, and I'd love a sub over there if you like the content. Now, back to the video. Let's take a quick overview of some of the major features of the Giza Plateau so that we can put the location of some of these large blocks into some context. Of course, the most famous of these monuments here is the Great Pyramid of Giza. It's hard to fully convey the majesty of this architectural achievement. It's just one of those things you have to see in person. Covering an area of roughly 53,000 square meters, just over 13 acres, and standing 146 meters or 481 feet tall, precisely aligned to the cardinal directions. It weighs in at an approximate 6 million tons. Made up primarily of 2.3 million nummulitic limestone blocks, the average weight of each of these blocks is between 2 and 3 tons. Not huge individually, but that's far from the full story when it comes to this monument. While we could talk about the Great Pyramid for hours, we're talking large blocks in this video, and the internal structure of the pyramid certainly has some of those. Particularly, the so-called King's Chamber in the center of the pyramid is made up of very large granite blocks. I always marvel at the size of the block that sits above the entrance. It seems to be easily the largest single block in the walls of this incredible chamber. The largest blocks, however, are the granite beams that form the ceiling. 9 slabs, each in the 60 to 75 ton range.
Just massive. Not less than 60 tons. 60 at least. Each one of these slabs.
Oh, nice.
We don't even know how far they would go, I'd imagine. They might keep going. Is that the edge of them? I don't know. Yeah.
It's so cold outside. It's so terribly cold.
The structure continues above the ceiling, with another 4 smaller chambers, typically and incorrectly known as the relieving chambers.
Good stuff.
These are also made up of huge granite beams, with 8, 9 or 10 blocks making up each chamber's ceiling. In the open space at the very top, named Campbell's Chamber, the ceiling is made from angled blocks of limestone, which do in fact relieve the mass of the pyramid above, but they are supported by the surrounding masonry, not the granite of the central structure, essentially making the granitic architecture below it freestanding. In total, the granite that makes up the entirety of the whole King's Chamber structure is estimated to weigh some 2,500 to 3,000 tons. It's also around 43 meters or 140 feet above the ground level. That is a lot of mass and some very heavy individual stones to get that high up into the air, and an extremely complex and difficult logistical challenge, particularly for an early Bronze Age civilization who did not use the wheel or force multipliers like pulleys or capstans. While the blocks that make up the Great Pyramid's limestone superstructure are generally all between 2 to 3 tons, the middle pyramid of the Giza Plateau is far more megalithic. Some of the blocks in the lower courses are simply enormous. Here you can see Jimmy Corsetti standing on top of one of them when we were both there in 2020. Not only that, but these lower courses have been laid on top of massive foundation tiles, also made of limestone, some easily in the 200-ton range. And these are like three-dimensional puzzle pieces that serve to lock the entire structure down into the bedrock.
But imagine, these are same interlocking pieces, like the tiles we just saw over there. But these are like 6-7 times bigger, if not 10 times bigger than the other one. You can achieve this work on a smaller scale, because usually when you're trying to lock, there are pieces that is not fitting together. Then you usually remove the piece, remove more material, and keep trying until it locks together. But here, the challenge is different because, of course, the size. Size does matter.
Insane. IRD 125, insane.
Switch a lot of stuff to extra large because some of their stuff's super oversized, you know. They're going to more baggy fit, so even the pants and stuff, I don't wear heavy sweats that much, so.
You got some sweats, man.
You, oh, you got the matching soon.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of their styles more oversized now. But I like the short thing just for me.
Yeah, yeah, the short ones, you wear that stuff, huh? See, I don't wear stuff that short, you know. Yeah. All right, so today is arm day, and we wanted to come over and do something a little different today at a different spot. They just turned the music down. I think it'll work, right? No, should be all right. As long as I'm talking, I think it's good. So I hit you this morning. I was taking pictures yesterday, and you're like, why didn't you hit me up? I did it last night.
Are 38 pounds, 38 pound
doing
flies.
These pictures. You know, I was trying to get that golden hour, but the golden hour is very short today. You know, dude, it gets dark at like 4, especially in this weather. So Vegas weather's been a little off. And yeah, that's what you said. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Yeah, I got all these people hitting me up, and they're like, did it snow at your house? And I'm like, it didn't snow up that. Usually we do get snow at the higher elevations, but obviously the weather's been super cold. I don't know if Vegas has been. My pool ran the other night all night long. Hey, what's up? My pool ran all night on freezer protection. Vegas has been unreasonable when it comes to the weather. So as you can see, I'm going to train actually in a hoodie a little bit today, which I never do. What does that tell you? You never see me train in a hoodie, have you? I'm trying to turn a new leaf. I was just talking to this guy about hoodies and whatever else, and it's like some people train in it, some people don't. But all right, so we're gonna do some arms, triceps first, and then we'll do some biceps. Maybe do a little calf training and work on the pump. So let's start with a press down movement. We'll get something going. If I can get on a cable here, and we'll move through it. Okay, definitely want to do this one. I haven't used this in a minute. So let's get something over here. You guys that follow me know I never really start with a press down movement because I always say warm up the elbows with a rope, but I'm gonna try something a little different today.
Every day I go to work, it ain't no time to relax. I put the time on the map, I put the team on my back. Every day I go to work, it ain't no time to relax. I put the time on the map, I put the team on my back.
Waiting for you to go put yours up, and I'll put mine up. Yeah. You got me.
Yeah, I gotta grind, yeah, they want me to chill, look, it ain't no time, look, I gotta grind, yeah, I gotta grind, yeah, they want me to chill, look, it ain't no time.
I've been through hell, but I'm breathing. Made it through pain, the sweat, the tears. I'm living this life for a reason.
Everyone say the way he does it's wrong. You're not supposed to lean in on it, you know. See, she's doing my exercise right here. That's what I should have started with, but all right, 2 field sets, and then we'll go into 3 working sets. I'm going to try to stick to the 3 exercises per. I'm going to probably do a little more, but 3 for triceps, 3 different movements, 3 or 4 sets each, and then we'll do some biceps, 3 exercises.
My prayers go straight through the ceiling. I'm putting in work where they sleeping. Not waiting for signs. I'm diving in faith. Too much on the line. I'm shaking the rooms. I rattle their minds. Do you really want to get it? Gotta finish. I'ma send it any minute with a message. I'ma live it up. Never will I stall for a minute. Pop off for a minute. Clock off for a minute. Like turn into a dog for a minute. I'm a bark up. Got a squad up. Like Jehovah, my shepherd.
What's up with you? You're already done before I came in?
No, I did legs, cardio.
Killing it, huh?
Trying to. I turned 30 this year, so I'm trying to bring my best.
I can't believe it. I just remember when you were like 26 years old. What's up with that? How are you getting old so fast? Come on now. You know what the difference is, J-Mac, between before? When I used to train, it was like I had a huge purpose, right? Like I had to train with a certain intensity to be the best in the world, right? I knew everyone was training harder than me, and now I can come in the gym and I can actually enjoy it and be personable to people, and the accomplishments are in the books, right? So now I don't have to be as stressed out when I come in the gym, be like, oh my God, I have to perform today.
Do you ever get like anxious or like stressed out if people would interrupt your training?
Yes, I would, because like when you train and you have intensity, like we talk about mind to muscle connection. So like I literally finish a set and I'm like, all right, if I'm gonna go up 10 more pounds, if I can just angle a little different, or if I can just contract a little different, it's gonna give me like that much better of a feel. And I think about the fibers that are gonna be adjusted, and okay, this is, you know, hopefully gonna continue time and time, and then you're gonna get more growth out of it, right? So every set was purpose, right? But if someone wanted to talk to me, it's like I want to be nice, but at the same time I'm so focused on the goal, right?
Look at my wrist, it's a matter of time. Matter of time, matter of time. They left in my face and I pass the baton. Pass the baton, pass the baton.
I just can't believe how heavy. You just said to me, you ever feel so strong in the gym? And today's not one of those days, man. So I get 2 plates on this. I start with this and I end with this. So it's kind of nice now, like, you know, you adding, oh, I'm gonna go up 10 or 25 or even a 45. Like, I don't have to do that anymore, right? It's all about just getting the pump and the feel. And I guess I want this hoodie to be a little tighter, you know?
I'm making it climb, start from the bottom, I'm running a check, shooting like Steph, I gotta grind.
Every day I go to work, it ain't no time to relax. I put the time on the map.
I'm gonna do what I just said I don't do anymore. Breaking the rules, bro. I'm gonna go up 20. They used to go up 100, you know? Because 12 was pretty easy. Let me try to get 12 out of this.
Put the team on my back. Every day I go to work. It ain't no time to relax. I put the time on the map. I put the team on my back. I gotta grind. Yeah, I gotta grind. Yeah, they want me to chill. Look, it ain't no time. Look, I gotta grind. Yeah, I gotta grind. Yeah, they want me to chill. Look.
Felt pretty good. Actually, it felt good enough that I'm gonna focus on doing one more set, which normally I wouldn't. I'm gonna do one more set. That's 2, and I'm gonna do something with an extension. I said I wanted to do that Atlantis piece because I don't get to use. That's what's nice about coming to these different gyms in Vegas is you can actually get the different equipment in here and get different feel. Never get bored, that's the main thing. You train at one gym, so it's like, do you ever get bored of like the repetitive? I mean, there's so many exercises you can do, right? How much is it to pay to go if you went to your gym if you paid? $280 a month. That's like the new norm of a lot of higher end gyms. $280 a month. I guarantee a lot of our YouTube people don't pay. I don't think anyone pays $280. I'd love for you guys to comment below if you guys, someone pays more than $280 a month.
Okay, I don't really care what them folks say. That's your cousin of suckers like Olay. You should jump on right off like they Postmates. Best I got no till I don't hold back. Cause I run them down till they don't flash.
Looking pretty good.
Only 7 weeks out. Yeah, now.
What are you gonna drop? What's your weight gonna be, you think?
So usually.
What's the goal? I mean, you haven't competed for a minute, so is it gonna be heavier than?
My stage weight was 121. So this time we're thinking we're gonna be like a little more heavier, like 125 maybe. We don't know. We definitely don't know. I took a whole year off. So
Feels good to be back at it though, huh?
excited, especially now.
Fuck yeah. It's your first one, right? All right, so I always talk about, so I did this press down, right? And then we did the dip machine, which the elbows, you know, I think when the arms are a little back away from the body, and now we're gonna focus on the stretch here to just kind of stretch the fibers out.
My knee got up on trigger, need no strap. Press on system, blow right through my whole cap. I say all in the studio, I sleep in it. Watch time drain up the sink minutes. Cause I got a heap of my teeth in it. Get it set up a pop and I'm pushing P. Put that pressure, I'm pushing them weak. I hang up a tank, I don't see no limit. You stuck in the box, you don't see the ceiling. They used to be me, now I'm back in business. I can settle it now if I want to.
It's a little bit of a Fio set. That wasn't heavy. That wasn't that much. So I'll probably do 3 heavy sets. If you guys follow me for a while, you know that arms is my least favorite body part to train, but it's not as bad, honestly, as it used to be because I've actually got good pumps in the arms. I've kind of figured out with my body, doing bis and tris together works really well for me. So I talk about this all the time, but back in the day I do, you know, double split training where I do chest in the morning, biceps at night, shoulders in the morning, triceps at night. Maybe that's, you know, I did get a lot of growth out of that. But when I started putting the biceps and triceps together, training once a day, it really gave me much greater benefit. So I do have a good pump right now in the triceps. Like I said, the workouts have been really good.
The triceps.
But I'm not really, I'm not gaining weight or anything. But I am eating enough food. My diet has been pretty on point. All right, so I went up in weight a little bit.
Every day I go to work, it ain't no time to relax. I put the time on the map, I put the team on my back. Every day I go to work, it ain't no.
All right, so this is a little out. That's why I like coming to different gyms and training on different equipment.
Feel like you get pumped faster being in the hoodie?
No, you know, I don't, normally I like to see what I'm working out. You know, that's always been my thing. So they call this a pump cover now. Do you know that?
Yeah, the guys who wear the big oversized.
You thought this was mine because it said the King on it. You see that? But I'm not from Akron, Ohio.
It ain't no time to relax. I put the time on the map. I put the team on my back. I gotta grind. Yeah, I gotta grind. Yeah, they want me to chill. Look, it ain't no time. I gotta grind. Yeah, I gotta grind. Yeah, they want me to.
Angie says I'm too skinny. Says I do too much cardio. I enjoy doing the cardio. I did 30 minutes of stairs this morning.
Look, it ain't no time.
All right, I'm gonna take the pump cover off. But they always said that men's physique guys aren't strong. He's over here doing 4 plates.
I just been pro too.
So, doesn't matter. You're still, you do physique? So you guys that talk shit on those men's physique guys, they're over here working, man. I never made that mistake to be against those men's physique guys, man, because a lot of these guys train hard, heavy. They got great legs, some of them. They just, in the end, it wasn't their choice to not wear posing trunks, you know? That was just the division rules. And if you notice now, all the shorts have kind of heightened up a little bit, so I put some of these men's physique guys against the classic guys or even some of the open guys, and I bet, you know, in the end, these guys could potentially have a great success in the bigger divisions. All right, so first set. All right, for you guys, before you guys ask, because I see this commonly, this bicep was torn in the lower, this was torn in the upper. So you're gonna notice the bicep. I never had this repaired. So in 2013, I announced my comeback. You know, I tore my bicep in 2011, 3 weeks before the Olympia. I lost the Olympia to Phil Heath. I thought, okay, Phil was coming up. I wasn't gonna beat him again. I'm probably gonna step away from the stage. I had planned to win my 5th one that year, and step away anyway and work on business. So, started a supplement brand, took a year off, had a little hunger to come back. 2013, I announced my retirement to come back. I had surgery in 2012, fixed this one, and the first day I announced the retirement, I was on a bus tour. I was training at a gym, and I picked up a dumbbell on a dumbbell rack. We're training chest. And when I went to pick up the hundreds, I pulled it off the rack, and I felt this tear. So I had a partial tear in the lower. The day I announced my comeback for 2013, this was probably like January of 2013, and the show was going to be in the fall. So needless to say, I still competed. I got 6th that year. Phil Heath won very handedly. And I never got a chance to stand in battle necessarily with him. And my doctor told me, listen, if you don't want to go through the surgery, eventually it may tear, and then you can worry about it then. So I have a partial tear right here. But it doesn't bother me that bad, because like I said, I don't train that heavy. I'm going to go up and weight a little bit. So I can still get the pump in there, but obviously it's always a concern if I go too heavy.
Not just a man, I'm a monster. Don't just attack, I conquer. Everything attached to the game, no shame. Take my pain with the gains. Determination, open celebration. I'ma keep going, no hesitation. Make my own way, not imaginary. The only thing they call me is legendary.
All right, so I talk about stationary position of the biceps. So although my elbow may come up a little bit, remember, it's a short range of motion, so I'm not coming all the way up and taking the tension off the biceps. So I do have these pads that are kind of keeping my arms down a little bit. So this is kind of the contraction. I'm gonna do it the correct strict form, although my stuff's a little rocking, right? I think the stationary position and obviously the unilateral on this, like there's a weight stack like even on each side, right? It's important, right, for the contraction. Always kind of my starter movement is something that, you know, is machine driven or whatever, like I do like with chest and everything else. I mean, sometimes I'll start with some dumbbells, but preferably I like to use some sort of selectorized machine or cable to really get the blood in there and get that tension kind of going. So I'm still going to focus on 12 reps. I pyramided the weight up. We're at 120 here. And let's see how this set feels. Last one. All right, so dumbbell curls, guys. What do you think I should start with, 40? 45. No, 40 pounds. You're trying to trigger me, aren't you? I should have gone 45. So sloppy bicep curls. Form's not that great, huh? I know, but the results aren't so great now. The results were great back in like 97, 99, 2002. You guys know I used to do like 75. I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get this weight up. I'm gonna go for like 6 or 8 each arm. I'm pretty fatigued already, I'll be honest. I talked about a little weakness. You were saying how strong you were today, and I don't know if I'm that strong, so.
You know when it's coming. You better get out the way and start running. You better get out the way.
I think that's like 10 each side. All right, so the next exercise, gonna do a spider curl, okay? See if I can find a straight bar. Do they have straight? Yeah, they do. Actually, you know what? I'll do a cambered bar.
Ahead of me. Dominance and years of longevity. For clarity, put your hand.
All right, so this is a little heavier, these sets, all right? So I'm gonna go for 8. You'll rarely see me do only 8 reps or something, but thinking I might do one more exercise for biceps because I'm feeling pretty good. I'm gonna try to slow it down a little bit.
If you're hearing me, demand respect and popularity. Give it to you raw, no gimmick. 100% authentic. All I know is push it to the limit. So much game can teach a clinic. Tell me who got next. Tell me who got next. Come and get some.
That was failure pretty much. So I always talk about going to failure. I don't know, I always say I don't, but sometimes I do. So arm day is repetitive, right? So it's like press downs, push downs, like extensions, you know, same thing with this, like curl, 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 you know, different variations. Not a lot of heavy weights. So when I say I hate arm day, I guess there's not much ego. Feeling of like, wow, I broke through a certain plateau, or like you said to me today, I was really strong. What did you train today? Yeah, so chest, like power, you know? How much power are you gonna have when it comes to bicep or tricep training, right? Not as much. So there's not as much ego involved, but not to say that I ever was. I always say leave the ego at the door, but that didn't look very clean, did it? Would you say that was sloppy, or what would you say? Huh? Don't lie. Stop lying. We're gonna let's let these guys critique it. How did that look, guys? Comment below. Put a banner on there, JMac. Comment below on Jay's form. You see my gym etiquette? One thing of 2024, guys. It's time to put your shit away. All right, let's go over in the other room. We'll do some calves. Now, normally I only do calves with chest training, but I'm starting to do a little bit of touch-up day, so. So I'm gonna try something different with calves. So I'm gonna do one more set here, and I'm actually gonna try maybe doing that hip and doing like a calf raise. One thing always though, I figured out the system for calves. Now, I know a lot of you guys think, okay, what is the secret to calf training? The complete stretch. I mean, how often should we train them? I've tried every day, every other day. Rep ranges all over the place. You know, I still focus on 10 or 12 reps. A little heavier weight, which this isn't, don't count this as necessarily heavy, but it's still in control and contraction, that deep stretch at the bottom, contraction. You see I do kind of like a stretch and I pop up and I do like a double just to get that peak contraction. And that's, you know, I figured out a system, you know, once or twice a week. Like I said, I'm trying to make some adjustments right now and maybe just get a little more conditioning. But I don't think I'm going to get much size now at my age, but we'll see. Unless I put on body weight, I don't think my calves are going to grow. And as you can see, the body weight's coming down, so. How do you think it makes me feel she's doing more weight than me? She does more weight on that than I do. I do 2 plates. I do 2 plates. We're just filming a little bit.
He's coming to bust my ball.
No, I'm not. Dude, I never thought you'd be able to do open bodybuilding.
Yeah.
You were a skinny little shit.
I know. The one you want, something pretty bad, pretty good.
So what are you gonna do for your birthday, dude?
Shoulders and arms.
I know, but like anything fun or like a special meal out or
Oh yeah.
the nights?
Tomorrow, yeah, we do.
That's cool.
But as far as food and stuff, that's what I like. Like the consistency.
I saw you bragging about your sneakers online.
Yeah, I love
Huh?
You like that too, right?
What is this? Huh? You know what this is? He's a Jordan collector now, this guy. He went from Atomics collector to Jordan collector. I mean, it's just like Angie just told me how bad she was sweating, and you know, it's not super cold in this gym, so you know, it's one of those things where, like, I always say I like to see the muscles work, right? And you know, for me, you know, visually watching in a mirror, like we consider ourselves artists, right? I mean, bodybuilding is still an art form, although, listen, we've blown those art images out of the water as far as like growingly rather large, right? But for me, you know, in the beginning, it was always like sculpting, oh, I want to have wide shoulders and I want to have, you know, cap triceps and like a full chest. Like I only had half a chest. It was like missing on the upper part. So for me, you know, I always wanted to have the ideal physique, what I saw capable with my genetics. And when I train, I kind of visualize that still. And that's what sometimes gives me motivation to keep pushing myself harder. And, you know, I can see more of the muscle being worked and whatnot. So I think sometimes it's really hard, especially like legs. If I train in sweatpants, it'd be super hard for me to really see how my legs work, especially when it's my best body part and I see the cuts and I see the vascularity. But not to say, I know a lot of you guys, like the pump covers have become such a thing now. A lot of people train heavy clothes. And listen, not to say I haven't. I was wearing 5X shirts before. But ideally, like I said, it's, you know, I like to see the physique work. I like to see how I look. I like to see, like, okay, am I making transition now to be leaner? Because the body weight's slowly coming down. As you see, 236 with clothes today. Let's just say I'm 232, 233 in the morning. I'm closer to 230. I mean, I always said my goal weight was between 220 and 230. I mean, remember, naturally, I started at 200 when I graduated high school. I was 18. So for me, it's, you know, I'm just trying to still build a physique, even at my age, that has proportions and symmetry. And, you know, I'm not going to look anything like I looked when I was competitive. But I'm still motivated to go to the gym every day. Today was buys, tries, little calf training. You know, I stuck to, like I said, 3 or 4 exercises for each one. Got the work done. You know, it was one of those things where I walked in the gym and I actually thought, maybe I'll train legs today. Like, I actually wore these shorts so I could actually do legs. And I got in here, I'm like, you know what? I did arms, like, I did legs, like, last before I did arms. So I'm like, you know what? I should just do arms today. I know the equipment's a little different from training at Kilo or at Fit Club or wherever else I've been training. So good, all in all, good workout. You know, I got up this morning, did 30 minutes of fasted cardio on the stairs. Been shooting a ton of content between last week and now, of course, getting another YouTube in, and I appreciate you guys. I asked for a couple people to comment on different things during this YouTube video about my form and, you know, maybe choosing what works and what doesn't for them. I love the comments below, guys. So we are approaching 1 million subs, which we will hit very soon. I figure in the next 2-3 months we should hit 1 million. It's a big turning point for us. Not a huge thing for me as far as like, oh my gosh, like 1 million, you know. It's just that we're that close that I can talk about it. The most important thing for me is to continue to educate everyone that follows this channel, whether it's new, existing. You guys have been here forever. I want to say I appreciate you guys. I love the comments. Remember, the engagement is super important. So the likes, the comments, kind of engaging on it, I think it helps a lot. So please, guys, show some love. It helps a lot. You know, it makes me feel better too that, you know, maybe something I said or something I did might, take care, guys, might influence you guys in a positive way or educate, or something you agree or disagree with. I don't really care, as long as there's some sort of engagement. I mean, I still get the negative comments on there. I'm still motivated every day, so I want to thank you guys for following along. Big shout out to J-Mac, last minute trip over here to the gym, and you guys will be getting this at the beginning of the week of Fit Expo, so I'll be at Fit Expo on Saturday. So LA people, West Coast people, January 20th, LA Fit Expo. I will be there on the Saturday only. Come by and see me. I'll be at, you know, the Cutler booth, whatever it is, Cutler Athletics, Cutler Nutrition. Angie and I, the dogs, will be there. We're there just for that Saturday. Dave will be there. We'll be filming for the channel, so please come by. Please come and see me, and I look forward to seeing everyone. Thank you guys so much for following along, and let's keep pushing each other, okay? And for J-Mac and myself, we are out at Elevation Las Vegas. We'll see you at the next one, so take care.
No mercy for you, no worries for you. That Game of Thrones, go Cersei on you. I flipped the script, I roll the dice. Don't fall asleep, cause I'm working nights. Hey, you trying to
What's up, guys? Hope you all are doing well. I wanted to let you know that our Black Friday sale, which is our biggest sale we have ever done, is now live on ShawStrength.com. It includes Evolution Athletics, Undefined Nutrition, and Shaw Strength. The more you spend, the more that you get. So you can get cool things like this free signed picture, a gym towel, this awesome Christmas ornament, a shaker bottle. So if you are interested, please head over to ShawStrength.com right now. Appreciate all the support, guys, and let's get into the video. What's up, guys? Hope you all are doing well. I am here with none other than Mr. Jay Cutler. We are in Las Vegas at the Torture Gym, getting ready to train some back.
Something different this time. I mean, last time we did arms. I hated seeing you kneeling down.
For the what was that, tricep?
Yeah. So, but you also had to kneel down to do that. Remember, we had to do the cables. So I said,
Yes.
You know what? I want to do something that is a little more challenging this time. And I know we were working towards the bodybuilding physique the last time. We were talking about maybe the competition.
Yes.
And it's a little different. I know you're into some other activities now, which we're not going to get into
We
today.
didn't take bodybuilding completely off the table.
I know there's a couple more goals, but so we're at Torture Gym in Las Vegas. Great to have you out here. We're going to do some back training today. We'll pick a few exercises that probably maybe you've never tried some
equipment.
of these.
It's new equipment too. So
yeah, that's the unique thing about Torture Gym is there is equipment here that not a lot of people have seen, and I'm sure you don't have up where you live. So I want to get on a couple other pieces, maybe show you a couple things, and we're going to focus on repetitions. That's the one thing we're going to focus on. So it's going to be 8 to 12 repetitions, and see if we can get pumped up, man. You know?
I love it, man. Well, Jay just rolls in pumped. I don't know if you guys saw that. I might have caught him in the back with like a band, or something, up. Time to rock and roll. Let's go.
I'm going to do this reverse grip.
Okay.
I hope you can fit in this.
I'm following you, brother. Let's do it.
Yeah, so I'm gripping it like this. I mean, you have a lot of different handles here. I don't know what your favorite option is, but what's the secret formula there you're drinking?
Secret formula. Pre-workout. Undefined, man. There you go.
Pretty light, so we'll get so maybe 10 reps, 12 reps. So we're just engaging the lats on this now, right? So I'm gonna go up a little bit, okay?
Nice. Nice, Shane. Easy, easy. Good. Boom.
So really what I'm trying to do is just really kind of get some blood in there, engage. Now I won't go super heavy. I expect you to go a little heavier.
Okay. There we go.
Good. How many reps are we focusing here?
You said 12?
I think 12. Just a couple warm-up sets, feel sets. It's normally what I do like 2 feel sets and usually like 3 working sets. Do you ever use straps?
Sometimes you mean just for back movements in general?
Yeah, because I know you guys use straps sometimes on your heavy lifts, right?
Deadlift for sure.
Yeah. So would you use a strap on this ever?
For me, I tried to stay away from them just to build the grip. So it'd be that grip endurance. But certain, like I'd go real heavy with like a cable row.
Yeah.
And sometimes I would work up to where my grip was the failure point. Then add the strap in just for like one more set, just to overload.
But that's allowed in the lifts that you guys do, right?
Typically, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Other than if it's a grip event like a farmer's walk or frame or something.
I just use it. That's why you use the chalk.
Yes, yeah. They're probably gonna get angry.
No, well, it's okay.
I did it in secret. Like I pulled it out of my bag and put it on, and now it's getting on the handles.
That's okay. It's helping my grip a little bit. So
if you want some, we can. It'll be secret, you know. Nice. Nice. Get him. Good. Come on. Good. Yep. Easy. Good.
That's the owner right behind you. That's the owner, so it's okay.
I feel naked if I don't chop, you know? Do you know that?
Okay,
Yeah. Feel that?
What are you going to go up to?
What do you do?
Yeah. So 4?
10 reps with 4.
Done. Let's go.
So I'm going to challenge.
Take the 5. Come on. You're the strongest man on earth. You can do 5. There's proof. I know I can do 5. We're trying to stick with the 10
reps. Sorry.
It's reps. Okay?
Reps.
Yeah, it's important. You follow your game plan. You know what I'm saying?
All right, so you should have a good pump by now, right? You're feeling
Yeah, I feel good.
Yeah. Okay, so heaviest sets right here, guys. Easy, come on. Here you go.
Should I step on it?
No, it's okay.
He's got this. He's used to things. Oh my god.
There you go. Come on. Here, lift the machine. Heaviest weight ever in torture gym. They wanted you to do 5. He probably would have tipped the machine over, dude. I need it.
Let's go, Jay. Let's go. Nice.
North Americans?
There you go. Good.
And August.
Nice. Good work.
Can't fit, see? I won't go I can't put it up anymore. Okay. Come on, Brian, let's go. Push.
All right, next set, I'm gonna join you.
See, I did double sets.
What do you think?
It's up to you, bro. I'm willing to do a one-arm dumbbell row. We can do that cable row. Everyone wants to use this, so we can use this. We can do this machine. You want to try this? Yeah, it's a standing, so it's like a one-arm dumbbell row, same thing.
Perfect.
Let's start with 2. I'll probably work with 2, stay with 2, and we put Brian to 5. Brian can do 5 on this because he won't tip it over.
I have to stand on top. Good. Easy, easy. Come on. Good. Get it. Good. Come on. Up. 12. Good.
So this was my favorite exercise when I was winning Olympias, was the one-arm dumbbell row. So 200-pound rows usually.
For 12.
Dumbbell, yeah.
12.
I
And
felt
would
this
you do
lengthen the lat. You get that stretch, right?
Would you do them off a bench or?
I would do them, so this would be the dumbbell rack.
Yep.
And I would roll like this.
I like that one too. Where you
So
put
this-
one hand on the dumbbells, right?
One hand on the rack to balance.
That's good. 200 pounds.
Winded me though.
Oh yeah.
It was a windful, because remember you're doing 12
And then
12, like 24 reps, right?
Yes. Yep. And you did you like it because of the stretch, range of motion?
Yes, I felt like you could engage the whole lat in a stretch, right?
All the way back. Yeah. Because I see you with this one too.
Yeah, you'll
it's like
see
an
I
opening.
So I stretch so that I'm engaging on the lat all the way out.
Yeah.
And then pull.
Nice.
All right, so what are we going to start with? 3 here.
3? Is that what it is? Okay.
I think. The camera guy shoots you all the time. He knows. What kind of weight can Brian do is the question.
Well, apparently I'm starting with 3 because Jay Cutler says so. Yeah.
Engage now. Feel it good.
So right now we're 3. I'm not talking about skate. You do like the vet picks or whatever it is? I do, but through my job at LTT, and they have 6 season tickets.
That's a good feel.
Yeah, so typically, you know the hardest part, when people trained with me when I was my biggest and baddest, it was my speed. So I would rest 45 to 60 seconds. So literally you'd go, I'd go.
Sure.
So a lot of times I train with people and it was like, okay, my weight's the only weight that matters, so don't change the plate. So literally, they step off, I step in.
Sure.
So the endurance was really an important factor, right? So the speed. So 45 to 60 seconds reps, which really helped with my cardio too and helped me stay leaner and
Your
bigger.
conditioning was
Yeah,
probably
290,
huge.
yes.
Yeah.
So I felt really good when I was, when I was training for a contest and I actually came down in weight, I just got faster and faster, with recovery. Because
You would push or shorten up the rest period.
I would 45 seconds, yeah.
Got it.
Way different from what you guys do, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Nice, Jake. Good.
Okay, tell me how that weight felt.
I think it was good if we stay with 12s, especially if you want to push the speed. Yeah.
I want to get you endurance, like.
Okay. Let's go. Let's
Get
go.
that pre-workout.
Yeah.
Okay.
Literally walked in my car and I was like,
Good control. Yeah, so it's funny when I train with you, I want to, train with the strongest guy on earth. I'm like, I expect him to do like I want to just see how many plates he can do on this thing.
Sure.
We're trying to think about repetitions, not like power training. These guys are sitting here watching, wanting you to break all records, you know.
Sure. Let's go, Jake. Let's go, Jake. Nice, brother. Good, good, good. Come on. Nice work. Get him, get him, get him, get him. Good. That's what I'm talking about.
So that long stretch,
Okay.
which a lot of people don't have, really open that lat up.
Would you say I'm opening up far enough or not? Okay.
Perfect, because you're drawing out, engaging, and
Now with this, I'm assuming you tried to control the concentric part as well. So like what I'm obviously used to is
you're powering through.
engage, pull hard.
Yeah. So ideally, like you're coming up and you're really, I would try to contract a little more.
But not quite as fast.
Not as much of a snap.
Got it. Yeah.
It's
and I
great.
think that's probably one of the biggest differences is
Yeah, because that's what you're used to doing.
under control.
Yeah.
But the thing that I would say that I liked more trying to do is always the eccentric, still control it. So even though I'm pulling really hard or whatever, really hard, it's always under control. So I could stop. Like if you told me to stop mid pull here, I could just stop, right? So I'm not losing the control. And that's, I think it's just the always programming that explosive.
I just wonder, with explosiveness comes using other body parts to make it happen.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
So instead of engaging, try to isolate and really think about that mind to muscle where, okay, I'm dragging the lat, right?
And I think that's probably one of the biggest differences, because I would be training a movement, not necessarily a muscle specifically, whereas this, it's like, okay, we're going to target something.
Yes.
I need to have a connection.
Yes, it's
to
not
that
about
one.
the lift, it's about the contraction and isolation and feeling, okay, this is going to work this area.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Finish strong now, finish strong. How are you? Good, nice. Let's see, so we did this. Let's work on this. We're gonna stretch it out a little bit, and then
I'm
we're
excited
gonna
to try
finish,
this.
Then we're gonna finish with that.
Okay.
With a little higher row, okay? It's been a minute since I used this, so I'm gonna start with 2, I think, on this. So I'm gonna try to push myself up.
Okay.
So I want to try to create this so I kind of keep the chest up and really engage the lats, right?
Okay.
Instead of sitting too far back and, you know, your people are leaning in with it. You see how close I'm sitting in, bro? I just don't know how far you'll be able to go in. Just
Got it.
So this is really pulling on my lats right now. So we talk about rear double bicep, front lat spread.
Oh, that's awesome. Good. Good work. Nice.
All right, so you're really gonna feel when you get in the reps and you're coming up, bro, you're gonna feel the expansion of the lats.
Okay.
You're gonna see the difference, okay?
Yeah.
So I don't know, is this too light is the question? Huh? All right, we're gonna put 3.
Okay.
12 reps on this, okay? First set. First set, this is easy set. How's that feel? Feel that?
Yes, good.
See those lats come out. Good.
That's a different angle, for sure.
What do you think?
I mean, it's not. Actually, I really do like it. It's just different for me because a lot of the a lot of the lat pulls that I did were mainly to the front, right? So I probably had a little bit of even if you're trying to stay upright, I'm leaning back a little bit, so it's more pulling here. Whereas
maybe try sitting back on the next set a little bit, you know, and see if that makes a difference on the feel of it.
Good. Did you use anything like this?
I didn't have it.
Didn't have it. So did you do it just with a normal cable?
Yeah, I did it with like bars, or you know, pull-ups were my number one lat builder in my opinion, like width-wise.
Okay.
So a wide grip pull-up.
Yeah.
I think that's the best. If someone wants to build a crazy V-taper, I think the pull-ups is the best.
So you think you got the best carryover from a heavy pull? Did you do them
Yes,
weighted?
because in the beginning, no, I didn't. Remember, my legs weighed a lot, right? I was bottom heavy.
Yeah, you weren't. Yeah.
So in the beginning, I had really wide lats. I just didn't have the depth.
Okay.
And obviously, your depth is carried over from, you know, your bent over rows, one arm rows,
absolutely,
seated cable rows. It takes a long time. Anyone can build this, I believe, but this, the thickness, that's years.
Now, do you think like a you did obviously heavy bent rows, but you did some rack pulls too, right?
I did, yes, and I did regular deadlifts. I deadlift every other week still, off the floor.
That's awesome.
I only go up to 225, but
a lot of bodybuilders have stopped deadlifting in general, right?
They stop.
Do you think that built that just more muscle density?
I think it works their overall body.
Okay.
So like when you talk about doing bent rows and, you know, I'm doing 4 plates, like those deadlifts help that strength all around. You know, we talk about core strength, and I believe that the deadlifts helped a lot with that. Yeah. I still think, you know, you look at your main lifts, your bench press, deadlift, squat, shoulder press.
Yeah.
I mean, those are your main, that's what anyone should have a base of that, right?
Sure. But you weren't scared of the deadlifts off the floor.
No, and I did up to 5 plates. I mean, remember, I'm going for 8 to 12. But
sure.
I usually sat around 8 for those when I get the heavy weights. But
it's interesting. I mean, do you think there's what do you think the main reason is? Because I haven't seen a lot of the newer
the waist.
They're
concerned about expanding the waist because bodybuilders get so strong. And remember, rep after rep, you're growing. How you're not going to grow this area when it's at the core is a muscle also, right? So you get a lot of.
You didn't.
I did though. My waist grew a little bit, but I got bigger. As you get bigger, your waist is going to grow, right?
But you kept the
well, I guess got wider to offset the waist.
Because your waist didn't seem big at all.
Well, because I have wide shoulders and wide lats, you know.
Would you have rather kept your waist smaller?
Of course, yeah.
You think
but
so?
I wouldn't have been as big.
Yeah.
I never would have been a
byproduct.
Yeah.
It's a byproduct of that.
I believe so.
Yeah. So would you recommend to like up and comers to do them?
I think, you know, everyone should start off, but if, you know, it depends on if they grow. I don't think Phil Heath ever did a deadlift in his life. 7-time Mr. Olympia.
Did he use rack pulls or no?
I don't think so. I think Ronnie Coleman would tell you, though, he deadlifted, right? I mean, he was a deadlifter.
Yeah. Well, and
he was a powerlifting when he started training.
T-bar rows.
I think Ronnie built a great base from his powerlifting background.
Sure.
Yeah, heavy T-bars, we did those too.
Sure.
I mean,
yeah. It's just like that. I would think that you in some aspects, you've got to get into the heavier weights for the posterior chain to build that density.
I think anyone should, if this is what you're going to do. I mean, it's a challenge, right? How are you going to challenge yourself?
Because Ronnie and I were talking about the machines, and he was like, no, he didn't use it.
I love free weights.
Yeah. And I like a lot of your training videos were free weights.
Of course, yeah.
It's an interesting debate.
Plus, I wasn't going to do all machines when Ronnie Coleman was doing free weights. That was my nemesis.
Yeah. You're coming. See, it's an interesting thing, man. Like when you talk about the physiques, like changing a little bit, right? Like is that a part of it? You know?
Could be.
Yeah.
Milos will argue that, though.
See, right there feels better.
Good. Just get that. Want to pull those lats. Remember that top? Yeah. Engage. Good. Engage. Get that. Yeah, right there. Good. How many is that?
That's 9.
Come on, couple more, couple more. One.
See, I felt stronger there, being a touch back, but I don't know how much I'm leaning back.
All right, so let's do this here a little different. Which I've never even used this before, but
Been looking forward to this.
I want to try a different. I want you to try whatever height you want to try, but I don't get to work out on this very often, so.
Okay.
Let's see how this feels. I'm going to go a little higher and I'm going to focus on this kind of
Nice. How much did you change the angles with your?
did because the machines never allowed it.
So I mean, like
You see
a
some of these guys sit on a box now and
sure.
on a dumbbell, but you know, normal cable rows.
We're always down
At this level, right? So I wanted to go a little higher.
Yeah.
And keep my feet
up a little bit.
Yeah, I just want to make sure you might have to sit further back to get that.
Do you think you would have done it?
Yes. Yeah, that's
Change
one.
the angles.
The one unique thing about this gym is, like, a lot of people are coming here and training, and a lot of the pros.
Okay.
Because the variations. And
it opens that door.
It opens that you don't get on a lot of other equipment, brand name equipment, right?
Yeah.
So this is kind of a first of its kind. That's awesome. Thank you. So sit back enough so you can get a good stretch on this, because depending on where you're gonna, I put my foot a little higher. It's up to you where you want. But just make sure you can get a full stretch. Okay. Is that light or?
Yes. I mean, it's not bad, but.
Okay. Let's just get the feel for it. So let's focus on 12. Come on. That's 2, 3, 4, 5. Come on. 6. Halfway home, dude. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Smooth, right?
Really smooth. Yeah. Yeah. I like that. It's a completely different feel to the row. You know, like going down with the feet just being higher. Because like you said, if you're down here and it's lower, that's always.
But you could, you know, it would be more of a stretch for you this way.
Yeah.
But you know, we've already focused on kind of that low movement.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm kind of saying, okay, let's go a little higher,
Sure.
right? Let's feel it a little higher.
Okay, not bad. Good. Good, Jake. Good. Nice. Easy. There you go. There you go. Good. Okay.
I'm not going to stack it yet because I want you to just
feel that.
So if you like that position, let's say we hit it like that, you know, a little
Perfect.
different, right?
Yeah, it's good.
Good. 6, come on. Easy, good. So the volume and the speed.
Yeah,
Like that's the
yeah.
blood flow, blood flow, blood
No,
flow.
I like it a lot.
So what a lot of these machines are allowing us to do is, it's almost like using free weight. I mean, you saw that one arm row. I mean, I feel like that pull down, it's not like when you take you have one solid bar, right?
Sure.
It's kind of,
It moves. Yeah,
it
like
moves,
you said, the
it's
contraction.
isolateral movements,
Yeah,
right?
that contraction was awesome.
Yeah.
Let's go. Good. Easy. Good job. Good. Good, Jay. Yep. Yep.
All right, last second. One spot from the bottom. That's the Jay Cutler rule. Always one hole from the bottom.
Why? Just because there's room to go up?
Of course, you always want to challenge yourself.
Okay.
If you rack it, then you're like, oh, I did all that.
Yeah.
Yo, what's
So you're
up,
always
Nico?
questioning,
Bro,
man.
flex?
Another plate,
What
another
up, bro?
plate.
I like it. I like it. I like it. That's good. That's a rule to live by. I like that.
What's up, man? I can't do it. I can't see.
Three more. One.
What's up, man? How are you, dude?
Last one.
Big King Nick.
Good stuff,
I
man.
think that's good. I think that's. How do you feel?
Feel good. Yeah, real good.
So we got 4 movements. We did, a couple of warm-up sets, so we're into about 15 sets. Now, my normal, I would probably do 30 sets of back.
Okay.
If I was full tilt, that's the one thing I had.
How many exercises?
I would do 6 movements.
Okay.
Okay. So we did 4, right?
Yep.
So what I tend to do is I just faced a burnout because I did a 12-week transformation. So what I'm trying to do now is scale back a little bit on the volume, so I actually am excited to train again. So
Sure.
for a while I'm like, I don't know if I want to train because everyone
Was
gets
that
burned
hard?
out.
Was that hard for you?
It was hard because to fall back, like I said, I hadn't competed in 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So to fall back to 6 meals a day and training with a goal, right?
Yeah.
Adding cardio in there, so I was working out 3 times a day. I was doing 2 cardio sessions, 1 weight session. It got a little taxing, to be honest, and by the end I was a little burnt out because, I was back to getting into it. I was starting to get into that groove, and I'm like, wait a minute, what am I doing this for, right?
Sure.
It was more just a body transformation. I wasn't going to compete. Everyone thought I was getting back on stage.
Yeah.
But for me, I think
Well, I mean, you kind of look.
you gotta you gotta cycle your training.
Sure.
Just
No,
like
that
I'm
makes
sure
sense.
you did the same. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, I deadlift every other week still.
Okay.
So I was deadlifting last week. So next week I'll add deadlifts into a workout.
Got it.
This is the first time I ever get to use this equipment.
Sure.
But I still would do a row movement. I would do seated cable row, 1-arm dumbbell row. I'll do some sort of a pull down, and then I threw the deadlift in there. Sometimes I do bent rows or T-bar rows.
Got it.
But anything that engages, and the whole thing is to get in there consistent, get the work done.
Sure.
And get out and feed it, man. Now it's the rest of the day is just feeding, and I'm sure you know how to do that.
Yeah. Well, need it, man. I need it. No, that's awesome. I appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, man.
It was a lot of fun. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed coming along for the ride and you got something out of that, man.
What was
Anytime.
your favorite exercise?
Honestly,
Did you like that row like this?
I really did. Yeah, the
'Cause
pull
it's-
down, in the row. I mean, this was good, but I would say if you asked me, it's probably one of those two.
Yeah.
Because that pull down was a unique feeling.
Yeah.
And I mean, for me, it made me pull different than a normal bar and cable. Because I maybe just get so used to that movement pattern where it's just a straight bar and I'm pulling down, whereas that was kind of converging down. That to have the variety of that row compared to a dumbbell, you can, in a way, like control-wise, you can control and stretch.
Yes. And it's an even plane, right? So it's not like sometimes with the dumbbell it's a little balanced.
No, it's fun, man. It's like this is like a playground, right? Like you get to play with.
And maybe it'll give you some ideas for some of those future lifts at the Shaw Classic.
I'm always thinking, man. We can have a brainstorming session.
Strongest man on earth is going to have a lot of new contraptions. Like Matt says, he says it's like a carnival of different
strength, man. A carnival of
yeah,
strength.
yeah.
I love it. Well, I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you guys, and keep killing it, man.
Yeah, for sure. Go out and be great. We'll check you guys later.
pyramid is built into a west to east slope of the Giza Plateau. On the eastern side of the pyramid, near where the tourist buses park, you can see just how thick these foundation tiles are, easily over a metre, 3 to 4 feet. Some of these foundation tiles are roughly 10 metres to a side, which is a huge amount of work. Given the rough weight of this type of limestone is about 2.3 tonnes per cubic metre, a 10 by 10 by 1 metre thick block would be around 230 tonnes. As the eastern side was built up with these foundation tiles, the western side of
Moonraker 3, America needs Trump right now.
Ew, gross. Ew, gross. Yes.
Remember to have fun.
the pyramid had to be conversely cut down, which is also a huge amount of work, as the walls of the bedrock enclosure are in places more than 10 meters or 30 to 40 feet tall. The builders even chose to shape the southwestern corner of the pyramid from bedrock itself rather than blocks, and this is a feature that I've covered in more detail in one of my earlier videos on this structure. Another significant difference between the Great Pyramid and the Middle Pyramid at Giza is that the lower course, perhaps even the lower two courses of the Middle Pyramid, were cased in granite, and not the Tura limestone that makes up the rest of the casing, as well as the casing stones on the Great Pyramid. In a few places, these granite casing stones are still in place, and a walk around the perimeter of the pyramid will have you wandering amongst the quarried remnants of these large blocks of very hard stone. Ramses II of the 19th dynasty in the New Kingdom was quarrying and removing the granite from this structure during his reign and recycling it for use on other sites. The perimeter length of the Middle Pyramid at Giza is around 862 meters or 2,824 feet. That's a lot of granite in a course or two, many thousands and thousands of tons. And in some places, the granite blocks even run too deep before butting up against the limestone blocks that make up the superstructure. This granite, considering that it comes from the quarries 500 miles to the south, represents a monstrous logistical challenge, particularly when you consider the cutting and precision shaping of hard stone like this, something that I've explored in depth in my videos on ancient machining as well as ancient granite and basalt cutting. Apart from the millions of tons of limestone that are in the pyramid itself, the logistical challenge gets even more insane when you consider the full scope of the entire pyramid complex, and that it was all supposedly completed in only a couple of decades during the reign of Pharaoh Khafre, the son of King Khufu. Comprising far more than just the pyramid, the Middle Pyramid complex includes a nearly 500-meter long and very wide constructed causeway, originally with a roof and casing stones, along with two mighty megalithic structures that sit at either end of it. At the far end, it's known as the Valley Temple, and next to the pyramid is the mortuary or the Pyramid Temple. According to the standard model, also included in this complex, and again all attributed to Old Kingdom Pharaoh Khafre of the 4th dynasty, is the Great Sphinx, as well as the megalithic Sphinx Temple, which sits right in front of it and next to the Valley Temple. It's these so-called temple structures in the Middle Pyramid complex that contain the largest blocks on the Giza Plateau. All three of them have been constructed in a similar fashion. Massive interior limestone blocks that are then cased in precision-carved megalithic granite. The Valley Temple is, by far, the best preserved of the three, with many of its original granite casing stones still in place, and it's spectacular. In this alcove, next to the main entrance, there are granite blocks here that are in the 60 to 70 ton range. And in small areas, the surface of the stone here shows their original finished and polished state, extremely flat and smooth.
That is in a good condition and shows you how smooth and polished the plants were. Let's go inside. So as you know, all this granite survived because it was under the rubble. The entire structure here survived the inside because it was under the rubble as well.
Much of the surface of the granite casing stones in the structure has spalled and eroded in our modern times, but it was all originally flat, square, polished and smooth. Despite the rough surface that we see today, the evidence of the precision fit of these granite blocks can still be found all over the temple. With no mortar between the stones, in places it's difficult to even see where the blocks might have been fit together. The line just disappears. It's an incredible achievement, no matter how you think it might or might not have been done. The Valley Temple also shows us the combination of stone types that seem to be so prevalent in many of the precisely made megalithic structures of Egypt: limestone, granite and white calcite, which is technically also a type of sedimentary limestone that forms around natural springs, varieties of which are also known as alabaster or travertine. The floor of the Valley Temple is made from blocks of white calcite, and while it comes in various colours, the whitest of calcite comes from near the core or source of ancient natural springs. In a calcite quarry, the further you get from the source of the spring, the more impurities end up in the stone, resulting in yellow or brown coloured calcite. White calcite isn't something that you just find lying around on the surface. The process of sourcing it in large amounts, like what's found in Old Kingdom structures, is a challenge not to be underestimated. Given the colouring and value of these blocks, much of the white calcite has been removed and recycled over time, and the floor here has been repaired and reconstructed in our modern era, but some original pieces remain. Large blocks of white calcite can be seen, their white colouring contrasting against the rose granite, behind the locked doors of alcoves in the Valley Temple. These alcoves are located to the sides of the passage that lead up to the Great Sphinx. Now, we could talk all day about the Valley Temple and its many interesting features, like its incredible precision-made cornice blocks, or its 16 granite columns, or even its U-shaped channeled block that sits in the back. But I'll save those for a future dedicated video on the structure. The important aspect of the Valley Temple here is that its well-preserved state gives us some context when looking at the other megalithic structures of the Middle Pyramid complex. Both the Sphinx Temple and the Pyramid Temple were also cased in granite, in the same way that the Valley Temple was, although today nearly all of the granite from these structures is gone. A little while back I published a dedicated video on the Sphinx Temple, as it's quite rare to get a chance to take a look inside. It's been closed behind locked gates for decades, but fortunately I had that chance in 2022. At the other end of the causeway, the Pyramid Temple, or Mortuary Temple as it's also known, is the exact opposite. It's fully open to the public, but its details and secrets aren't always obvious or in plain sight. Similar to the Middle Pyramid itself, the Mortuary Temple has been built on top of layers of foundation tiles, which are visible around the edges.
So the entire temple is built on top of a foundation that is also built from stone. And then the stones are built on top of the bedrock itself. So these massive blocks here are not natural bedrock. It's built.
Yeah, so this is all built up on top from the bedrock down here.
Yeah.
Layered up.
And all these huge blocks that we see is constructed. With these sizes, it's still interlocking.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
And it's like 3 layers deep down here. And there's a channeled block down there too, right? Let me get a look at that. Channeled block there.
Also, we can see the figures, the indentations that we see in the blocks. These shows that the temple was encased all the way to the top, just like the valley.
Yeah.
And there used to be actually more pillars in this one according to the official record. 16 down in the valley and 24 here.
24 of the
makes 40 pillars.
The square pillars, right? The big
The
square
pillars,
granite
exactly
single
like the
piece
one.
pillars. Yeah.
Compared to the Valley Temple, the Mortuary Temple was a considerably larger structure, both in footprint and in terms of what was contained within it. The Valley Temple has 16 granite pillars, many of which are still in place and make for spectacular viewing. Yet the mortuary temple originally contained some 24 of these huge granite pillars, although today only remnants of them are found here.
And these are remnants of pillars or something?
Yes, as we said, 24 pillars.
Yeah.
16 in the valley, 40 pillars.
Are there any documented round, like pillar? I know we have the columns at Saqqara and Abu Sir. Do we see any of those here? That's not as far as we know. Okay.
All of them, the ones here and the one in front of the pyramid of Khufu over there,
Yeah.
were
Square.
square or a bit rectangular. Sometimes it's rectangular if it's supporting two lintels, like the two rectangular ones in the Valley Temple. They are
Yeah.
rectangular because two beams, one coming from this side and one coming from that side. So supporting a lintel from here and a lintel
from there.
Yeah.
The massive limestone core blocks of this structure, which were once fully cased in granite all the way to the top, show signs of tremendous levels of erosion, something that I'll comment on a little later, and many of them are easily over 100 tons each.
This part also was work. The granite stone casing, and all this work up there shows, and the one on top of it as well.
Yeah.
Shows that. So the temple was encased in and out with granite stone, which we see the ruins of everywhere.
Yeah, this is granite. This is a granite casing stone. So all of these shapes you see in the limestone blocks, that's all heavily eroded. Were all cased in granite. Insane.
Some people see that the pyramid from local stone weighs around 3 tons.
Yeah, not like 450 tons.
Most of these are more than 100 tons. Most of the blocks that we see.
The limestone core has been extensively repaired and buttressed in modern times. Damage from erosion has been filled in with bricks and mortar and then covered over and painted to look like limestone.
Now, the erosion was so severe.
I mean, look at this.
The
Yeah.
ministry
Repaired this.
repaired it by putting these big blocks inside the erosion. And imagine how severe this erosion was. So this here is a restoration by the Ministry of Agriculture, and it's not the only part.
Yeah.
There is this part here, but all this is also smaller pieces were made as reinforcement for this piece.
Yes, this is all concrete in here. Yeah.
Pretty good, 2 hours, 2.5
It's in the core blocks here that we find what I think is the largest shaped stone on the Giza Plateau. It's one of the lower masonry blocks that is set deeply into the foundation. By estimating its height and then pacing out its length and width, we can estimate its volume in cubic meters, which can give us an indication of weight, as this type of nummulitic limestone is around 2.3 tons per cubic meter.
You have documented the large one we found so far before.
Yeah, I want to document that again though. We should paste that out.
Alright, let's flex to end for record keeping sakes.
The mortuary temple, it's just massive megalith. So yeah, it's this block.
Yeah, it's that block.
This one here?
This one.
Oh, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
4 meters high, about that.
Oh no! Oh no! What was he referring to? I can't even remember.
Until here.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
And then
More than 7 meters long.
Ew, terrible quote.
Let's see.
Great to be here. That's a great quote. That's the quote to end on for tonight. Great to be here. Great that you're here.
About 7 meters.
All right, let's read somebody maybe. Maybe the DJ's playing more Goldeneye. That'd be great. The reverse raid.
Yeah, let's look at the calculator here.
look at the calculation.
4 by 7
He is not.
196 Q.
Who's playing
In case you
Goldeneye?
missed it, let's just run that calculation one more time. 4 meters high by 7 meters long is 28 by 7 meters wide is 196 cubic meters of limestone.
Thanks for being here.
Times that by the average weight of limestone at 2.3 tons per cubic meter, and you get 450.8 tons. So, based on what are probably conservative estimates for width, length, and height, this